Presented by FedEx. FedEx, helping small businesses simplify e-commerce.
We, the North, are now we, the champions. The Raptors, the 2019 NBA champs.
3-2. Here it is! The Washington Nationals are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
Let the good times roll. LSU sits on the throne of college football.
And this one is over. Kansas City has won their first Super Bowl in 50 years.
Now, here are your hosts for Sports 56 Middays, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Out in the countryside, lay back and smell the sun, warm up the Georgia pie. Feels so good to be taking it easy. Why would I ever leave? 'Cause I know I got some good friends that live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into Sports 56 Middays. This week is just roaring by. It is already the Hump Day edition of Sports 56 Middays. We welcome you into the Family Leisure Studios. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoie, and Gabe Kuhn. Officially the Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 edition of the program. We're in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure is here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. All types of amazing deals, and they are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. So give them a call, schedule an appointment, or place an order at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Sports 56 Middays is delivered each and every day by the great folks at FedEx. Streamline your e-commerce business so you can focus on growing sales and strengthening customer relationships. Learn more at FedEx.com/e-commerce. And again, a salute to all the great folks at FedEx and what they are doing on the front lines of our battle with the COVID-19 disease. On the show today, we're going to be joined by Keith Smith at 11 o'clock from Yahoo Sports NBA. Talk some NBA with Keith. At 12 o'clock, Nick Bromberg, college football reporter for Yahoo Sports College Football, but also a NASCAR reporter for Yahoo Sports. So we'll hit both subjects. NASCAR, it came back on Sunday with the race at Darlington. Well, there's another race tonight in Darlington, another Cup race. Kevin Harvick won on Sunday. Tonight, it'll be the Toyota 500 at Darlington, so we'll talk to Nick about NASCAR and about college football. Speaking of college football, Eli's put together this concoction that I think is really, really cool, where we're going to give you our list of our top 10 college football coaches that we project for the next 10 years. But there's a lot of criteria involved, and we'll go over that with you a little bit later on in the show. That'll be a fun category. Yesterday, we talked about Gene Chizik's top 5 SEC quarterbacks for this season. Well, I saw a list yesterday that I think is worth repeating on the show today. This is FanBuzz's top 20 SEC quarterbacks in history, and I'm sure it's a list that will be debated. We'll do that on the program today. So a busy show. We have our 5 favorite songs. The category today is Fire. Was that Butthead or Beavis's favorite term? Fire. Is that Butthead, Eli?
I don't know which. I'm not sure.
So make sure
Both
Fire.
as far as I'm concerned, I don't know.
Make sure Fire is in the title of your song. You can text them in on the First Bank text line at 67129. You can also watch us live. Message us.
You can watch us.
You can watch us.
Watch us live.
What's up? You can watch us live. Message us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Instagram. Send us in your 5 favorite songs. Last Wednesday on Hump Day, you had the Camels as your background because it was Hump Day. You must think it's Rump Day today with all the toilet paper behind you.
Well, yesterday I had to go into Kroger, and for the first time since this started, and I don't go in often to the Krogers. I'm generally staying away from places when I can. But yesterday I went in, and this was the first time that I went into Kroger since this all started that there was actually toilet paper there. So I bought all these rolls behind me, and I'm hoarding. I am now hoarding like the rest of you. So I'm just rubbing it in people's faces. See, I've got all this toilet paper because I got it. I cleaned out the Kroger yesterday.
Okay. All kidding aside, did you actually go into Kroger yesterday?
Yes.
And you purchased toilet paper?
Yes.
Okay, but you got on my case when I said this last week. When I went into Kroger.
Because we needed toilet paper. I needed toilet paper. We were out. I had not bought toilet paper. We had not bought toilet paper since this whole thing started.
So you were completely out.
We were down to like 2 or 3 rolls.
Okay,
finally.
We were down to about 5 or 6. I went in, and it was like eureka. I saw toilet. There was 2, not rolls, but 2 packages of toilet paper. I couldn't believe what I saw. It was like I walked around the corner and saw gold bricks. So I had to purchase one. I wasn't hoarding. I don't have a
I didn't
wall
criticize you for buying toilet paper.
Yes,
anyways.
you did.
I criticized the people who buy it when they don't need it.
Well, true, but again, even if you're down to 6 rolls and you see that elusive toilet paper, you're going to buy it. So anyway, I'm glad you bought it, and then you took a photo of it and you posted it behind you. That's nice.
Yeah. So if anybody needs any, I got plenty behind me. I don't know. I'm not sure what our station supply is. If any of y'all need it, it's right here. It's behind me today. So toilet paper's on me. I got this round, guys. This round's on me.
Yeah. When somebody approaches you and says, "Hey, man, I heard you're giving away rolls of toilet paper," you're going to shut them up real quick. No toilet paper for you. You ain't giving any of that up. Hey, the NCAA Council today is voting on relaxing the moratorium on athletic activities on campus that right now extends through March 31st. Actually, they're voting on whether or not to extend it, but I believe the vote, according to everybody that is following this from the media, and I'm not sure when the actual vote is taking place, but it is probably going to be more likely that they're going to allow athletes to come back to campus to be able to start working out, especially the football players, for the upcoming season starting on June 1st. What's interesting is that West Virginia President Gordon Gee, his quote today was, "We need to dance with the pandemic rather than be fearful of it." We are starting to open the doors more and more. Not every state is on the same page, but we're starting to open up our country a little bit more. I think that's a positive statement that Gordon Gee says, that yeah, we're going to have this. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be around. But let's not be fearful of it. Let's try to live our lives as much as we can, taking precautions, and basically dance with the devil.
See, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we need to be dancing with it. I get what his point is, but I'm not sure that's the proper analogy to use. I'll just say that.
Well, it may be the wrong analogy, but do you believe it's the proper measure to take, that now it's time, since we're opening up a lot of things, let's open up the facilities on campuses in the states that allow it to these student athletes to go in small groups and start to train and get ready for what will hopefully be not only an academic season, but also an athletic season.
Yes, I mean, I think we are in a place where now we start, in certain states and places that, we start opening these things up, obviously with still many safety measures in place. But, yes, opening the doors to them, I'm all for that, yes.
Does this mean, and again, it can backfire, things can go awry, things can turn negative real quick, but is this an indicator to you that the chances are now better in your mind that college football, not possibly some conferences and not others, but that college football will kick off on time?
Yeah, I mean, I just think the everything over the past probably week or so has given me the feeling that we will get football season underway on time in both college and the NFL. Not with fans necessarily, but
right.
But I just think there's been a lot of steps in the right direction here over the last week that have made me pretty confident that that the season will not be pushed back for a start date.
Okay. So the documentary that we have been talking about for weeks and weeks now, The Last Dance, the documentary about Michael Jordan and the Bulls in their final championship season, is the documentary that apparently is not going away anytime soon because all people want to do is talk about it. And now, Horace Grant, a former Bull himself, who played from 87 to 94 and was a part of that first three-peat, said on ESPN Radio Chicago yesterday that it was a downright lie that he, meaning Horace Grant, leaked much of the information that was used in the documentary and was used in Sam Smith's book, The Jordan Rules. He called MJ a snitch and said 90% of the documentary is BS in terms of realness. Thoughts?
It's interesting stuff. He said a lot because he had that, and then he had some other stuff that he did yesterday, in which he talked about if Michael Jordan had truly come to try and take his food, he would have beat his ass, and there wouldn't have been 6 championships, and there wouldn't be no Air Jordans right now. Horace is not holding back at all. And it's funny, he refers to it constantly as the so-called documentary. I didn't realize there were such issues between Horace Grant and Michael Jordan, and maybe they weren't this bad before, but obviously there had to be something there before, because I don't think just from this that Horace Grant would be taking these shots at Jordan.
Well, all of a sudden, all these guys are coming out of the woodwork. Craig Hodges had something to say. I'm going to get to another former Chicago Bull in just a second. Now we have Horace Grant. The documentary's been on for a long time. He waited until it was completely over, and then a few days after that to respond the way he responded. During the time it actually happened, I don't remember hearing about any issues with Grant. And when Sam Smith's book came out, I don't remember Horace Grant putting his foot down, and the accusations had to be there that they thought Horace Grant was the leaker. So I don't know. I don't know why now. Everybody now away from the situation can be a lot tougher, or could talk about how tough they were actually back then. I'm not saying every single player backed down from Michael Jordan. And certainly if it came to blows, who knows? There would probably be a number of guys who were mild-mannered that probably could whip his tail. But it didn't happen. Unless this thing is a complete falsehood, and I know Michael Jordan had final say, and he was the one with the last word with this documentary, and it was from his perspective mostly. I don't know. I don't know if this is sour grapes, why it's coming out now, and I think it's going to come out a little bit more with other players that have taken issue to this. So I don't know what to believe here. He says 90% BS in terms of realness. 90, not 10%. Yeah, there was a few things they took liberties. 90%.
Well, obviously that's an exaggeration.
Sure, but
the thing is, the one thing that I would like to know, and I guess we never will, is to be able to see. Obviously, Horace Grant sat down for an interview, and they used parts of that in the documentary. What were things that he said that they didn't put in there? How much did, and how much of that wasn't put in there may have been Jordan saying, no, that don't put that in there. If it was something critical of him, same thing with Scottie Pippen, who, continues to seem to have a problem with the way he was represented in this, but which I still don't understand, because the two main things about him in this that I think people get a negative picture of him. One, he said he would not change. Even though he regretted it, he said he would not change it. So I don't understand how you could be upset about the way you're represented when you actually, in the thing, they have you saying today that you wouldn't change it. So, again, how much of Scottie Pippen stuff was there stuff from Scottie maybe that was critical or something that they left out, and how much of that was Michael telling them to leave that out? That we don't know. You're not going to ever see the raw footage of those interviews with some of these guys that and what was cut out, and how much of it was cut out because Michael wanted it cut out.
Well, if it was that bad, like Horace Grant says it was, then that's going to burn a lot of bridges with Michael's relationships with his former players if he cares to have those relationships. But again, Horace Grant, the first one to really come out and pan the documentary. Again, Craig Hodges had some things to say. Okay, this one stunned me yesterday. I'm reading about Robert Parrish, and they go, that year he played with the Bulls. I went, what?
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember that whatsoever. Robert Parrish, not the Last Dance year, right? The year prior? His final year in the NBA was with the Chicago Bulls.
He was not on the 97-98 team. I don't remember what year.
Right. I think he was the 96. I think he was the 96-97. But I could not remember that. I looked at Robert Parrish, the Chief, and then he talked about a run-in in practice with Jordan. When Jordan got in his face, and basically the Chief said, basically, move out of my way or I'm going to kick your tail. And then Jordan moved away. That's according to Robert Parrish.
96-97, he played 43 games, averaged 3 points and 2 rebounds, so not exactly memorable.
No,
he averaged 9 minutes per game. Yeah,
it's one of those many former NBA stars, and Parrish was borderline star, but he was, the big three in Boston. But that at the end of their career, they tried to prolong it, and they ended up with a team, and they could hardly move. There's so many stories, well documented.
Well, and he played 2 seasons in Charlotte, then went to Chicago.
I remember Charlotte. I do not remember Chicago.
He was 43 years old when he played that season in Chicago.
43 years old. So he's 43 years old. Michael would be what that year?
96, 97.
Yeah. Michael would be what? Michael's about my age.
24 or 25 at that?
No.
No, he'd be 30.
34?
34 or 35.
How old is Michael now? Michael's born in 63.
So he's 2 years younger than me. So he's 50. I'll be 59 this year, 57.
33, 34.
Okay, so 33, 34-year-old Jordan and Parrish at 43? Now, Parrish is a lot bigger, so maybe he did back away. But I completely forgot that Robert Parrish played with the Chicago Bulls. So anyway, he comes out and says something. I think we're going to continue to hear little stories, little incidents that have happened. And maybe I would say the bulk of them will be painting a negative picture of Jordan, that he wasn't always the tough guy, that sometimes, I was the tough guy. But it's easy to say it now in retrospect in 2020. Again, Horace Grant maybe denying something happened or denying that he was the informant for Sam Smith's book, but just ripping apart the documentary and basically saying, again, it's a bunch of BS. Sounds like sour grapes to me. That's what it sounds like. But again, Jordan did it.
Sour grapes for what? What do you mean sour grapes?
That maybe he felt he was also portrayed in a negative light, like Scottie Pippen thought he was. Although Pippen, I thought, comes out of it, even though that incident really was horrible, not wanting to play in a game, but the consummate team player that Scottie Pippen was when he was one of the best players in the NBA, I think that also was showcased, which is a positive. But maybe Ho Grant thought something was negative, and I think basically it was that he was the leaker.
I did. One of the things that Grant said about Pippen that I thought was interesting is he talked about that whole situation with him not playing at the end of the game, and he said, why is that even in there? If this documentary is about the last season, and in kind of also retrospect, it's about Michael Jordan, why is that thing about Pippen in a season that wasn't the last season and in a season that Jordan wasn't there, why include that in this documentary?
Right.
And I was like I get that, but they're also, I mean, in this documentary, they told the story of key players, and Scottie Pippen was part. I mean, Scottie Pippen was there for all 6 championships. He's obviously a big part of the last championship, and everything that happened going into that season with him is a big part of it. So telling the Scottie Pippen story is a part of getting to the point of what was going on with Scottie Pippen in that final season.
Yeah, sure. They were all part of it. Now, I heard that there were a couple of guys that weren't part of the Bulls organization, but that were key players in this whole 6 championship run. Karl Malone and Brian Russell, they said thanks but no thanks to being interviewed for the documentary. But I guess all the Bulls that they felt were pertinent were interviewed and used in the documentary. And here's the other thing. While Jordan had, I'm sure, final say, and I'm not sure, did he get executive producer credits? I never really watched the credits at the end. Was he given producer or executive producer credits? But he was also painted in a light where he was a jerk. I mean, what human being wants to be known as a jerk? So if Michael Jordan really wanted to have total control of this thing, now being a tough guy, being in people's faces, maybe that's a badge of honor. But being a jerk and known as a jerk is not a positive attribute. So I don't know why.
See, I don't. Most people that watch this, I don't think, came out of it thinking Michael Jordan's a jerk. They came out of it saying Michael Jordan was that much of a competitor. Some
still think he was a jerk. Some still think he didn't have to do that.
And quite frankly, Michael. I mean, if Michael doesn't care, I mean that's the thing. Like,
right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Michael doesn't care about the relationships either. I mean, the whole thing with Charles Barkley is a perfect example of that. I mean, that's over pettiness. I mean, a guy that was, they were tight as could be forever. One guy as an analyst, because that's what his job is, says something which is obviously true about his ability as an owner to try and put together a winning product, and Michael Jordan completely cuts off that longtime friendship over something like that. So Mike, he clearly can't take the criticism, and it's over something that's obvious to anybody who knows bad thing about basketball, that his time as an owner has not been successful.
Well, he's pretty thin-skinned, Michael Jordan. He also, as you know by now, if you didn't know already, that he holds grudges. He holds grudges and doesn't let them go. Unless he, again, exorcises the demons when he is able to get back at somebody. With Barkley, he's really not able to get back at him. I read yesterday, and I forget who said this, and maybe it's something that'll ring a bell for you, but they said they preferred Larry Bird because Larry Bird would not demean you when he coached you. If you had a rough game, he would pick you up. He said, and the person who said this was with Michael Jordan and with Magic Johnson, they would just destroy you, absolutely destroy you and belittle you. But Larry Bird, they preferred his coaching style because he would pick you up. Again, interesting. Horace Grant coming out at this time to just rip apart what happened in the documentary The Last Dance. Coming up, we're going to talk some college football coaches and kind of bring out the crystal ball for what will happen over the course of the next 10 years. Also, the all-time top 20 list for SEC quarterbacks. We'll discuss that on the program. Keith Smith at 11 o'clock on NBA. Nick Bromberg at 12 o'clock on college football and NASCAR. And our 5 favorite songs today is about fire. Make sure you get those 5 favorite songs in via the First Bank text line at 67129. It must contain the word fire in the title. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hurts. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Whether you're working remotely, taking web classes, binge-watching TV, or gaming, Dell is here to help you find the right tech. From XPS and Alienware computers that are redefining what's possible with 10th Gen Intel Core processors to the latest top brand electronics, our seamless tech solutions will help keep you connected. Plus, get free shipping. Call us today at 800-BY-DELL. That's 800-BY-DELL.
This is Stacy on her motorcycle.
What an incredible view!
And this is Stacy off her motorcycle.
Does this have sucralose in it?
On her motorcycle.
Oh, the wind in my hair!
off her motorcycle.
It's pronounced et cetera, not etc.
On.
Woohoo! Yes!
Off.
No.
You're better on your bike. And with basic policy starting at $75 a year, quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy not available in all states.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
We know staying in is a little easier when you can grill out. That's why Ace will help you get a great grill for your family from the best brands like Big Green Egg, Traeger, and Weber. And with your local Ace right in your neighborhood, we'll assemble and deliver your grill for free. Then, to make it even easier, we'll include free fuel to help you get grilling. The brands you love and the service you trust, only at Ace. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members through May 31st on grills and accessories $3.99 and up. Propane tank not included. See participating stores for scheduling or exclusions.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx.
Here once again
are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Let's do it.
Let me drop it on the one. It's the Fat Mac. Dope like an 8-ball. That's why people call me that. Some used to call
Welcome back here in the Family Leisure Studio, Sports 56 Middays on this hump day. So I was, so the Athletic a little while back, they actually did it as a draft with all of their college football guys. And I found it pretty interesting, and I wanted to see how our list kind of might compare to the way their draft went. But they did this based on college football coaches and what they will accomplish over the next 10 years. So it's a 10-year window. It's only what they do while they're a college coach. So if they coach 1 year and leave, that's whatever they got. There's a scoring system to this. It's 5 points for every regular season win, 15 points for a conference division or regular season title, 20 points for a bowl game win, 25 points for a conference championship, 35 points for winning a New Year's Six bowl game, 50 points for winning a playoff game, 100 points for winning a national championship. And so I and Greg and Gabe all put together our top 10 list. And it's and then we'll look at the way their draft went. They had Chris Vanini, Stuart Mandel, Bruce Feldman, Max Olson, Nicole Auerbach, Andy Staples, and Matt Fortuna doing the drafting on their site.
It's interesting because I thought you had just come up with this, so I didn't see this other story. I have not seen how they voted. It's very interesting, and it's not easy when you think about it. The way it's broken down, for example, Notre Dame doesn't have a conference. There's no division points and things of that nature. You have to pull out a crystal ball and figure out some of these older coaches, how long will they be around and what will they be able to accrue as far as points if they don't last the 10 years. So this is not – there's a lot of great coaches, too, that are obviously left off because you can only have 10.
Well, that's you're looking at older coaches. How much longer will they go? Maybe somebody that could leave for the NFL, for instance. You might have to take that into consideration.
Right.
Or you're also projecting coaches who aren't maybe in the Power 5 right now, but still can rack up a lot of wins, conference titles, and then maybe in 2 years they're in the Power 5 where they bring in playoff national championship type things for the rest of the 10-year stretch. So there's a lot of things to consider. Gabe, I'll start with you. Give me your list.
The obvious ones for me: Ryan Day, Dabo Swinney, Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley, I guess, not so obvious because you don't know if he's going to leave for the NFL.
You have it in order, right? You have these in order, don't you? 1 through 10?
We were supposed to put them in order?
Yes.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I don't have them in order.
Okay.
Well, go ahead and readjust. Get them in order.
Okay.
Okay? And we'll get back to you.
Okay.
We'll get back to you. Yeah. That's the key, is also the order that they're in. So you want to go, Eli, or you want me to go?
You go ahead.
All right. So
number 1, I think, should be rather obvious.
Number 1 is Dabo Swinney.
Yes. To me, it would be pretty hard right now to put anybody above him. I mean, with what they've got rolling at Clemson in a weak conference, you don't feel like he's leaving for the NFL. If anything, he might leave for like Alabama, and you'd still be fine.
Exactly.
Like and he's young. Like it's really hard to justify putting anybody over Dabo Swinney.
Right. Number 2, this is interesting, but I think because of where he's coaching, Ryan Day, Ohio State, number 2. He's young. He's already had success. Ohio State is just the beasts of the Big Ten and the Midwest area. They're going to be in playoffs in the future. So I went Ryan Day.
I have Ryan Day too as well. I mean, again, it's the same thing. Like I don't think there's a fear of him leaving to like the NFL. Like it's just he's probably going to be there for a long time, and really whoever the coach is at Ohio State, you're going to have to consider them, and especially when they're at a level right now where they're already competing for national championships. It's not like he's trying to pull them out of a downtime and they're trying to rebuild. Like he's got it rolling. He's going to be there for a while. I think maybe you put there may be a couple of guys you could consider there, but I think Day is pretty good choice at number 2.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. And again, you got to take everything into consideration. It's not necessary. We're not saying, we're not asking to our listeners out there, who's the top 10 coaches in order that you would want coaching your team in a national championship game. That's not what this is about. This is the forecast the next 10 years.
And those are the top 2 picks that they had in their draft as well.
Okay.
From the Athletic.
Good.
Which is, again, I mean, I think those are, again, because Lincoln Riley, there is a little fear of whether he'd be there for 10 years. I think Swinney and Day become the clear top 2.
Good. So I'm in good company with the media that voted on this. Again, I had not seen their list. So Swinney 1, Day 2. Now it gets tough. So I put Nick Saban 3. He's not going to coach 10 years. But I think he's still going to have a lot of success in the time that he coaches. This is going to be a screwed-up number 3 pick if Saban announces his retirement after next season. I'm banking on 3, 4, 5 more years, maybe another natty. Because of the point distribution, he could still rack up a lot of points. And I know he doesn't like leaving the game where Alabama was last year and really the last couple of years, right? So Saban is my number 3.
See, I'm just because of the pure number of years that I'm going to miss out on there. I feel like I can't put him number 3. I have him in my top 10. I have him at number 6, but I just can't because I really don't feel like Nick Saban's doing this more than 3 more years.
Well, you got 200 points for a natty?
It is. Well, I mean, it's 100 points for the national championship, but you'd also get another 50 for the playoff win. You would get 25 for a conference. I mean, it would end up being like that.
Yeah, see, I'm banking there's another one left with Saban, and I'm also banking that he's going to coach a little bit more than what you think he's going to coach. And, again, it could backfire, and he could be out after next season. Gabe, you're going to say something?
I have the same. I just got my order done here. Dabo Swinney 1, 2 Ryan Day, 3 I went personally, and I know this is sort of interesting because he could leave for the NFL at some point, but Lincoln Riley. He's consistently going to win the Big 12 and be in that title game. So.
All right, that's what I have him at 3 too because of that. Like I just feel like, and if to me, if he wanted to leave for the NFL, this would have been the year to do it, possibly with the Cowboys. So I think he could be at Oklahoma. All this thought of him leaving for the NFL could be overblown. I think he's going to be there a while, and as long as he's there with what they've got going, he's going to win a bunch of conference titles.
All right, let me finish the list, and then Gabe, and then Eli. Let's give our complete list, and then we can debate and why we have it. But I went. Here's my shocking name at number 4, Dan Mullen. At number 4.
Wow.
I went really high with Dan Mullen. I just think, again, let me give my list and we'll debate it. I just think they're going to take over Georgia. They're going to be winning the East consistently and have a chance to be in the playoff. I think Mullen's going to just do it at Florida. Number 5, I still have Coach O in there. It's still a breeding ground where you're going to get a lot of great players. I don't expect much this upcoming season, but I think he's also made his bed where he can stay at LSU for a long time after winning a natty. Number 6, I got Lincoln Riley. He would obviously be much higher, but I think he's going to go to the NFL sooner than you guys think he will. Number 7, I don't even like him that much as a coach, but I think he's going to win because they're getting recruits, and there's not a lot of competition out there in the Pac-12. I put Mario Cristobal at 7. Number 8, I got Kirby Smart. I still think George is going to be in there playing in New Year's 6 games and things of that nature. Number 9, this one was, I went back and forth, but I did put Brian Kelly on the list. Notre Dame doesn't get the bonus points for division and conference championship, but they're going to win a lot of games. They're going to get the New Year's 6 games. He's only 50-something years old. I thought he was older, so because he's not that old, I'm going to stay with Kelly in my top 10. And the number 10, I went with Mike Norvell. I really think he's going to turn Florida State into a team that's going to be playing in New Year's 6 games. And I gave him the nod over James Franklin. I was talking to Gabe before the show. I said I really wanted to put Franklin in there, but I just don't think they're going to overtake Ohio State. I'm going to give Mike – and again, I don't think maybe necessarily Florida State overtakes Clemson. It's just a feel I have about Norvell. And as you talked about earlier, Eli, with Dabo could end up being the heir apparent to Nick Saban at Alabama. Therefore, Dabo would be leaving the ACC. So I took that all into consideration. All right, Gabe, finish up your 10.
So 4, I went Nick Saban here. I dropped him down just because you say 3 years, Eli. I think it's a little longer than that. I think it'll be under 10, but I think he'll have success the whole way. 5, I went Kirby Smart. He edged out Dan Mullen, who's 6 for me, just because I think Georgia will stay on top for a little bit longer. But those 2 teams, I think, are sort of next in line in the SEC. So obviously 6, Dan Mullen. 7, the one thing about the Pac-12, I don't believe in Mario Cristobal. I don't think he's a very good coach. I'm
kind of with you.
And
but it's Oregon.
The consistent coach in that conference has been for years Kyle Whittingham. So I'm going Kyle Whittingham here.
Wow.
I think he consistently ends up in conference championships, in really good bowl games, New Year's 6 bowl games. So I'm giving him the nod here. If you said wow on that one, Eli, wait for this one. 8, Paul Chryst, Wisconsin.
I don't say wow about that at all.
Big Ten West. Yeah. The Big Ten West is open every year.
About it, yeah.
And he consistently, and that Wisconsin team seems to consistently win that. And I thought that was the safest pick, given sort of what else was in the Big Ten. 9, I went James Franklin, because I can't see him overtaking his side of the Big Ten. And then 10, I went Brian Kelly. It's weird, though, because you can't get – the one reason I didn't want to put it in there is you can't get a conference championship.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're losing out on points just because of that.
Okay. Eli?
All right, so I had 1 Dabo, 2 Ryan Day, 3 I had Lincoln Riley, and I don't think he's going to leave as early as others, and I think he will continue to dominate the Big 12 wise there. Number 4, I do believe in him, and I think it could be a good coach. I think he's a really good recruiter, and he's just in the perfect spot. I've got Mario Cristobal at number 4. Because I think Oregon's going to win the Pac-12 perennially. Like I think they're going to rack up 10, 11 wins, win the Pac-12, be in New Year's 6 bowl games at the very least quite often over the next 10 years while he's there. Number 5, I've got Kirby Smart. I think Georgia, with what he's done recruiting there, will continue to be at the top of the East year in and year out. So I certainly love what he's doing, and I think we'll be in more playoffs. So I've got Kirby Smart there. 6, as I said, I've got Nick Saban. It's hard to figure out where to put him because he's going to be extremely successful while he's there. It's just predicting how long he's going to be there. If he's there for 7 more years, he's probably number 2 or 3 on my list, but I don't think he's going to be there that much longer, so I put him at number 6. Number 7, see, I went thinking, you got to think, okay, who's going to rack up a bunch of wins, who can win their conference every single year because that matters, who can win some New Year's 6 bowl games because that's good. He's not going to get in the playoff where he is now, but could if he ends up getting a better job. I've got Brian Harsin at number 7. Number 8, I do put Mike Norvell in there because I think he's going to be awesome at Florida State. I've said I think he's going to get into the playoff there. may win a national championship. I think that happens over the next 10 years. So I think Mike Norvell will rack up a bunch of wins starting in about 2 years. Number 9, I have Paul Chryst. Same thing you said, Gabe. He's in the right division. They're going to rack up a bunch of wins. They're going to rack up division titles. Probably here and there will win the Big Ten championship game. If not, they're still going to be in a bunch of New Year's Six bowl games, even if you lose the Big Ten championship game. So I certainly like what Paul Chryst can do, and I think he'll be there for a long time. And then at number 10, I have James Franklin. Obviously, competing in the other division with Ryan Day hurts him, but I think he'll continue to win a bunch of games at Penn State. And again, going to be there a while, or ends up getting, if he decides he doesn't want to compete with them anymore, gets a different job and goes there and wins, because it's probably a pretty good job that he gets somewhere else.
So you, very glaring on your list is no Coach O and no Dan Mullen.
They were both among my others considered. Dan Mullen came very close. He would have been my next guy. Kyle Whittingham was another one that I came very close to putting on. I just don't like his situation kind of division-wise there. And again, I think Oregon is in the best position to start dominating in the Pac-12. And then if USC can kind of get it back together, we'll see what Chip Kelly does at UCLA. And then the other one that I really consider, because it's all depending on what job he gets next, and I think it's going to happen in the next couple of years, is Matt Campbell. I do think Matt Campbell at some point is going to get one of these great jobs, and it's where that is. I can't put him in the top 10 now, but he was very close to my top 10.
And you also don't have Brian Kelly. We have
I didn't even consider Kelly, because if you're taking the conference championship stuff out of it, and their success in bowl games is terrible, like it's hard for him to rack up points in this thing.
Yeah, but Notre Dame is still going to get the benefit of the doubt when they have those years where they're 11-1 to get in as a playoff team. And even if they get hammered in that playoff game, they're going to make the playoffs.
But you don't get anything for that.
You don't get. You didn't get for getting to the playoff.
You get 50 points per play. Because you do if you're in a conference, because you won your conference championship. But that's the thing.
That's a good point.
It's so hard if you don't win bowl games. If he doesn't win bowl games, there's no points for him to get.
Yeah, I guess I looked at that the wrong way. I thought you get the points to make the playoff, and that's why I put Brian Kelly in there.
The Paul Chryst pick, though, like that, I had to go back and forth a little bit looking at that, because the Big Ten West is just so nasty. Like, you have Kirk Ferentz and Paul Chryst running that division with just disgusting offenses, not very fun. And the other one I did think of was P.J. Fleck at Minnesota. But then I went down, and I told Greg before the show, you go down, you look at recruiting rankings, and then you start to get discouraged about P.J. Fleck.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Chris, again, with Wisconsin, if you win that division basically every year, and you're getting to the conference championship game, so say you lose to Ohio State in the conference championship game, you're still, because they're going to the playoff, you're going to a New Year's Six bowl game with a chance to win that and rack up a bunch of points.
Probably going to a bunch of Rose Bowls. No, I thought about
winning
Chris.
10 games a year just because of the division you're in.
I thought about Chris.
I think he could have a chance to put up a ton of points.
Yeah, I thought about Chris, but I hate Wisconsin.
The way that their draft went, they had Dabo number 1, Ryan Day number 2. James Franklin went number 3 in their draft.
How can you have James Franklin 3 right behind Ryan Day? Because if you're not, more than likely, and I still believe that they try to avoid it. It's not always avoidable to get teams from different conferences in the playoff.
Well, you had 3 straight SEC coaches at 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, but if the one conference that's going to get the benefit of the doubt is the SEC, and it has in the past, but I don't see that number 2 from the Big Ten East getting into the playoff if Ohio State gets in the playoff. And I just think Ohio State's going to make that run. I mean, again, Franklin was my odd guy out, but the way you've convinced me with Brian Kelly, because I was thinking you're getting points to get in the playoff. So I would take Brian Kelly out and I'd put James Franklin in. But he wouldn't be that high. He wouldn't be number 3. Anyway.
Number 4, they got Lincoln Riley. Number 5 in their draft, Luke Fickell.
They think he's going to Ohio State?
Well, again,
they have Day up there.
They're taking my Brian Harsin theory. 1, rack up a bunch of wins. They think obviously Cincinnati is positioned to to win American a lot, get in, possibly be the Group of 5 representative for New Year's Six bowl games. Gives you, rack up those points, and could move on to a bigger job, and if he does, great. Then they bring up, they say in the little write-up, they have a write-up on each one, and they said it could be some time, but a Power 5 job could still get him come calling for him. But if not, he's going to rack up a bunch of points at Cincinnati.
Yeah, but a lot of things have to happen for Fickell to fall into that category. So they're taking a real big gamble, and I think the odds are less that happens than going with somebody who's proven himself, like Orgeron, who just won a national championship. I like Harsin. I thought about Boise State. I really, really did. But again, you talk about the fertile recruiting grounds of Louisiana. He's going to be in there. They're going to battle in the West. They're going to go to a New Year's Six game. They're going to win a lot of games. I don't know how Orgeron's not on there. Well, maybe he is later, but Orgeron is not there, but Fickell is. That's really gambling on everything that will fall in place for Luke Fickell. I don't see that.
But again, if you don't think Ed Orgeron's going to win the SEC West, then Luke Fickell is a better pick in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but you can still come in second to Alabama and still get into the New Year's Six, still win bowl games. You can still win a lot of games. You're just not going to get the divisional points.
Yeah, Luke Fickell can get all that plus conference championship points, get into a New Year's Six.
Well, there's no more division in the American, so it's just the conference. And there are a few other teams that are going to challenge, like the University of Memphis, for goodness sakes.
They've got Nick Saban at number 6. Ed Orgeron went 7.
Okay,
Kirby Smart went 8. Mario Cristobal went 9. And Paul Chryst went number 10. Dan Mullen going at number 11.
So they did not have Saban in there, or did you say him?
Saban was 6.
6, okay, sorry. So who significant that they did not have in there?
They had Mullen at 11. They got Scott Satterfield went number 12 in their draft. Matt Campbell, 13. Brian Harsin, 14. Kyle Whittingham, 15. And P.J. Fleck at number 16.
So they didn't have Kelly in, again, for the same reasons that I should have really thought that out a little bit more.
They had Mike Norvell at number 20.
Okay, so we've given Mike Norvell a lot more chance than they have.
The Norvell pick definitely it discouraged me, the fact that Clemson's on their side of the conference. I mean, that literally ran me off completely.
I just think Florida State, look, when it comes down to it, I mean, Clemson's getting an amazing amount of recruits, and they love playing for Dabo. Dabo could leave for Alabama once Saban retires. But Florida State, I don't think it's going to take a lot to get back to where they once were. And then all of a sudden now these recruits may be deciding to go to Florida State over Clemson because that's where they used to do. That's what they used to do.
Coming up, we'll tell you where Lane Kiffin went, maybe higher than you would think, where Tom Herman went, which is stunning to think, and where Ryan Silverfield went in their draft.
All right, this is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
Case IH is a proud supporter of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, and thanks to a membership benefits partnership, Mississippi Farm Bureau members receive a discount of up to $500 on every qualifying Case IH tractor and piece of equipment you purchase. This discount may be used with other promotions, rebates, or offers. So join Mid-South Ag Equipment and the Mississippi Farm Bureau and pocket up to $500 in savings. Call Mid-South Ag at 662-890-3141 to get your discount today.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
We know staying in is a little easier when you can grill out. That's why Ace will help you get a great grill for your family from the best brands like Big Green Egg, Traeger, and Weber. And with your local Ace right in your neighborhood, we'll assemble and deliver your grill for free. Then, to make it even easier, we'll include free fuel to help you get grilling. The brands you love and the service you trust, only at Ace. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members through May 31st on grills and accessories $3.99 and up. Propane tank not included. See participating stores for scheduling or exclusions.
Blood and plasma donations are more important than ever. People all around the world still depend on the medicine your plasma helps make. That's why Interstate Blood Bank and Plasma Biological Services are open and will remain open for our donors. The United States government has declared blood and plasma donation as a critical infrastructure industry. That means healthy donors are allowed to travel to and from donation centers regardless of any stay stay-at-home mandates in your area. We need you to keep donating so that we can continue to manufacture these life-saving medicines. We understand that you may be concerned about COVID-19. The health and safety of our donors and our employees remain a top priority. To limit the spread of the virus, we're taking additional measures to ensure our centers are safe and clean. Donating now is more important than ever, but please do not come to the center to donate if you are not feeling well or have a sore throat, fever, cough, or shortness of breath. We are doing our part so that you can do yours. Come donate today at one of our IBBI or PBS locations across the Memphis area.
Hey everybody, our friends at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch say congrats to the high school and college class of 2020. And it's a great time to help your grad get a new or pre-owned Chevy. And if you're ready to get that new Suburban, Tahoe, Silverado, Blazer, or even pre-order one of those hot new Corvettes, All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch is where you want to be. Because the people at All-Star Chevy make it fun, easy, and safe, whatever makes you comfortable. They'll even bring any All-Star Chevy car, truck, or SUV to you. And you'll pay a lot less than at those city dealers. GM's financing means no payments for 4 months and 0 interest for 84 months. That's on any new Equinox or Silverado. Thousands in cash back with Blazers, Silverados, and more. And everybody at All-Star Chevy has one job: to make sure you get a better deal, have more fun, and in record time. And all sanitized and safe for you. They'll even pick up and deliver for maintenance and service. Remember, it's not the Pike, not South Haven, not Mount Moriah or Collierville. It's gotta be Olive Branch, people. So find new roads to All-Star Chevrolet today or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx.
Here once again
are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Let's do it.
All right, so continuing down their list of their draft.
How many did they do?
They did 8 rounds, I believe it was.
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh at number 22, which is just staggering to think like that's where he ends up in something like this right now. But you can't have any confidence right now in Jim Harbaugh getting it done at Michigan, really.
No.
They got Josh Heupel from UCF at 23. And then Lane Kiffin comes in at number 24.
The problem is, and look, I like Lane. I think Ole Miss made a splash hire, but he also has substance. But they play in the West. I mean, he's going to get some talent, and I think they're going to break out of that pack with Mississippi State and Arkansas and challenge some of the teams in Auburn. But to be able to knock off the top 4 in that division, a lot to ask for.
They don't. I mean, the thing is, they don't win that division. They never have. So,
but I'm just thinking of total wins in a season, right?
And Ole Miss good seasons are 8-4, 9-3.
Right.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of points there in this system.
Exactly. And you're starting, and if you can get 10 wins a season, okay, you're getting points. But who are they beating in the West consistently that they're able to get that amount of wins in a season? They're looking at 7 wins and 8 wins, as you said, to be a very good, solid season and a pretty good bowl game.
Ken Niumatalolo went number 30 overall. Tom Herman at Texas went number 32.
Wow.
Just after Sean Lewis from Kent State.
How many Big 12 coaches are in front of him? Obviously, Lincoln Riley and Matt Campbell. Anybody else?
Mike Gundy at number 28.
Man. Because if Lincoln Riley does go to the NFL, then somebody's got to take over. Somebody's going to take over that conference. It's not necessarily the replacement at Oklahoma for Lincoln Riley. It could be time for somebody to step up, and to not think it would be Texas. It's crazy. No confidence, and I'm with them as far as Herman is concerned.
Mark Stoops of Kentucky goes right after Tom Herman. Let's see here. Starting the 6th round, the first pick of the 6th round is Will Healy out of Charlotte as they go for one of the upper-coming guys. The second pick of the 6th round, number 37 overall, is Ryan Silverfield. What they wrote about Silverfield, the last 2 coaches that have this job, Justin Fuente and Norvell, won big with the Tigers, then moved on to Virginia Tech and Florida State, respectively. If Silverfield could continue that trend, he'd be an excellent replacement if I lose Saban. This is Andy Staples doing this to retirement a few years down the road.
Wow. How about Mike Leach?
Not in here. Hugh Freeze goes number 39.
Mike Leach did not make the list.
Mike Leach was not taken. Again, they did. They didn't do that. They did 6 rounds of the draft. 6. So they draft. There's 42 picks taken. 7 people drafting 6 rounds. Justin Fuente did not make it. Norvell and Silverfield did. On the First Bank text line, somebody says, I would put Norvell in there. Somebody said, Eli, it's funny to hear you criticize the coach for not winning bowl games when you've always discounted the importance of bowl wins. I've complained about Memphis not having won a bowl game since 2014.
You tell him, Texter.
Well, this is a point system. I mean, the bowls become important in this because it's part of the point system.
Right.
I didn't
There's
make up
criteria.
the point system.
There's criteria.
They're telling me I'm picking people based on a point system that includes 20 points for a bowl win, 20 or 35 points for a New Year's Six win. So they become important in this. If you tell me that the bowls become much more important in real life, then I'll consider them to be more important. But there's not importance in real life to a bowl win or not.
We're going to talk NBA next with Keith Smith from Yahoo Sports. This news in, and it's you expect these kind of things from the great Mike Conley. He's donating $200,000 to help people during these tough times. Conley's donation will be split among the Utah Food Bank, the Code Crew in Memphis, Tennessee, the Community Shelter Board, and Columbus Urban League in Ohio, the Indianapolis Public Schools Foundation, and the New Haven Missionary Baptist Church in Arkansas. $200,000 from the great Mike Conley. Hour 2 coming up. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hi, it's the Herd. No matter what happens, you want to make sure your loved ones are taken care of. That's why LegalZoom makes it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving home. Don't know the difference between a last will or living trust? LegalZoom can help. They're not a law firm, but you can get started quickly online and get advice through their network of independent attorneys. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com.
Upgrade to luxury. Visit the Umansky Luxury Complex at Ridgeway at 385. Umansky Maserati and Alfa Romeo, Lincoln of Memphis, and Acura of Memphis. One convenient location for incredible brands. Ridgeway and 385. Come see the Italian race-inspired performance of the Stelvio and Ghibli, precision-crafted performance of the RDX and MDX, or the amazing new Aviator, Navigator, or Nautilus. Rates as low as 0%. Payments from $279. 90 days until your first payment at the Umansky Luxury Complex at Ridgeway and 385. While qualified buyers, offers cannot be combined.
Though we're apart these days, we're sharing more. So, at Geico, we'd like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your savage dance moves. Thanks for sharing your DIY haircut fails. Thanks for sharing your inner lip sync star. Now, it's our turn to share with the Geico Give Back, a 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. Because we're committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for more info and eligibility.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media.
You can get podcasts of all our daily shows and all of our biggest interviews delivered right to your inbox just by signing up at sports56whbq.com. It's the best way to stay informed on what's going on in sports, and it's brought to you by Surfacapes Concrete Floors. Garage, restaurants, office, retail, and industrial floors, Surfacapes does them all, as well as pool decks. Call 901-888-5000 or go to surfacapes.com. Get full shows and the best interviews from Sports 56 delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up at sports56whbq.com.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx.
Here once again
are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby.
Welcome back, everybody. 11:03 the time. Hour 2, Sports 56 Middays on this Wednesday, May 20th, 2020. The Hump Day edition of the program. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoie, Gabe Kuhn. We're in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road. That's just north of I-40. At Sports 56 Middays is delivered each and every day by our title and presenting sponsor, FedEx. Visit FedEx.com/e-commerce to see how to turn browsers into buyers. Learn how FedEx can help you take your business to the next level. Again, a big shout out to all the great folks at FedEx for being on the front lines during this COVID-19 battle as they are delivering the test kits, the masks, the ventilators where they need to go. We thank them for all they're doing in this world and thank them for being a part of our show each and every day. Time to talk some NBA. Keith Smith covers the NBA for Yahoo Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. He joins us now on Sports 56 Middays. Hey, Keith.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing all right. Hanging in there.
That's my line. Hanging in there. Hanging in. Well, at least we got a godsend the last 5 Sundays, and that was this Last Dance documentary. It gave us at least something to talk about, a great topic here on this program, and I'm sure talk shows around the country. It's just not going away. It ended on Sunday. Now you got Horace Grant coming out, and he's ripping it apart. I'm sure there'll be others that will. What was your take, Keith, on the whole documentary?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. That's the era that I grew up on in the NBA. So I was an 80s, 90s kid. So I was not a lot of it was super new to me, but I thought it was really cool to see a much younger generation that didn't get to see Jordan and the Bulls live start to get an appreciation for him and just how good he was and how good those Bulls teams were. I also thought the latter episode, really the last maybe 3 or 4, when it really showed how important it was to him to win and to be competitive. And in that one episode where it really ended, where he was kind of starting to break down, where he's talking about, like, I just needed the guys to want it. And then he, said break, and that's where the episode ended. Those are the kind of things that really stick with me, how much those things are with him. And then, it was kind of a newer thing to me was when he said, I would have come back for one more. I thought that was pretty interesting, too, that part of it there, where if we would have kept the team together, I would have made one more run at another title.
Do you think there's any way they could have kept it together? Because I said I don't think there's any way they could have convinced Pippen to take like a 1-year deal when what he was able to make in that contract with Houston.
Yeah, it would have had to have been a 1-year deal that was a massive contract if they were going to do that. And I don't know that Jerry Reinsdorf was going to do that. It's easy for him to say now here, 20-something years later of, well, yeah, we would have paid to keep the team together. But at that time, Jordan was up in the $30 million range for a contract. So you would have had to pay Pippen, something up in the 25, 30, which now people are looking, well, that's a max deal now, so who cares? But back then, guys were making $2 and $3 million was a pretty good contract. So I think, maybe they could have, but but I don't think so. I think there might have been just too much bad blood there between Pippen and Jerry Krause, and I think Scottie Pippen was at a point there where he was just done with his time with the Bulls. MJ had kind of taken a season and a half sabbatical time, and I think Pippen wanted to get out of there as well.
Keith Smith, Yahoo Sports NBA, joining us here on the program. Did you read the comments from Channing Frye about Michael Jordan?
I don't refresh my memory. I may have, but they're not coming to mind right now.
So Channing Frye said that MJ, he had one job, and he did it very, very well, but he had one job. It was scoring, and I think that players today wouldn't want to play with him. What?
Yeah, yes, I do remember those, yeah.
What is he talking about? Now, is it because of the way he was portrayed, and I think a lot of people knew that he was tough on his teammates, but maybe not that tough, and today's day and age, maybe players do not want to be lambasted, especially called out in front of others. I don't know, but how would you not want to have Michael Jordan on your team? The guy's a winner.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with a lot of these guys don't like to be called out. They don't like to be called out pretty publicly how Michael Jordan would do it. They prefer, if we're going to do those things, let's do it behind closed doors. Let's do it when no one else is around. I mean, the story of him punching Steve Kerr, that story's been out there for any number of years. We all kind of knew we knew when that happened, almost in the moment, and that was just, it was a different era then. Guys handled their business a little bit differently. But as far as yes, his job was to score, and he was arguably the greatest scorer the game has seen outside of Wilt Chamberlain, who played just a different style in a different era. And Jordan was absolutely tremendous as a scoring guard. But there were points where the Bulls said to him in his career, "We need you to play more of a point guard," and then he would pile up assists like crazy. So I think that cuts him a little bit short to say he was just a scorer, and yeah, he was great at that. But could he pass? Would guys want to play with him? I don't know. I think if you wanted to win and you were tough-minded enough to handle some criticism, you'd be signing up to be his teammate.
Not to mention a great defensive player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the better defensive guards the game has ever seen. He could really defend. He was one of those guys who pretty early on, he could defend 1 through 3 with ease and could even defend some of the smaller fours in the league. The Bulls didn't, never hesitated to put him on anybody. And that was what really made that team great, was when you had him and Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant as the backbone of the defense for the first run, and then add Dennis Rodman in that second run. It was just, you saw the scores of those games, even when they were having some trouble putting points on the board, and it was really MJ or bust. On that end, the defense kept them in every single game.
What do you think of some of the stuff from Horace Grant and some others who have criticized that Michael probably had too much input on what made it in the documentary, and maybe there could have been some more stuff critical of him if he had not had so much influence?
Sure, yeah. I think Horace Grant has a point there. I think Michael Jordan saying Horace Grant was the one who leaked all the stuff to Sam Smith for the Jordan rules. That's been a story that's been out there and debated for years and years. Grant says it wasn't him, and Jordan and others say it was. So that's always been a little bit interesting. But then I think when you look at just the way the documentary came together, yes, ostensibly it was a documentary about the Bulls, but it was really a documentary about Michael Jordan more than anything. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to do a documentary about Michael Jordan, if you don't give him significant input, you're not going to get it. And then that's just going to be just another story like we've all seen and read before.
Keith Smith joining us from Yahoo Sports NBA. You can follow him on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. Okay, here we are on May 20th, and I think June 15th is an important date. I don't know why, but in my head, I think it's important as far as getting this NBA season resumed. Maybe we'll know something beforehand, maybe not until after that. But what is your thoughts, Keith, as we get closer to June here and the time is of the essence? What do you think in your mind is going to happen?
Yeah, I'm still pretty optimistic. I do think we're going to get a return to the season in some form or fashion, whether that's all 30 teams and we play out some of the regular season. I don't think there's any way at this point we're going to get to 82 games, but there's that kind of 70-game mark has been what the league has been targeting for a while now, because that's when they fulfill the vast majority of the regional sports network contracts. So I think there is a desire. Let's get to that for each of the 30 teams. Teams are anywhere from 4 to 7 games away from that right now. So I think that's where they're looking to get to. Then that gives the playoff teams a bit of a warm-up to get kind of ready to head into the playoffs. It gives those teams that were fighting for playoff spots at least somewhat of a chance to, get their way into the playoffs. So I think that's where we're headed. As far as timing goes, it was about almost 2 weeks ago now that Adam Silver told the Board of Governors, 2 to 4 weeks, we're going to talk about this, and we'll have a much more of an understanding and timeline. And I think that was heavily based on teams getting back in their facilities and guys getting back to practice. With news that the Timberwolves are going to open up their facility this week, tomorrow I believe it is. We're now up to 18 teams. They believe they'll be well up over 20 by the weekend is their hope. And then that starts to set a tone, because then the medical staffs and training staffs get a real good look at the players and get an understanding of what kind of shape are these guys in. Do they need a 2-week training camp to get ready? Do they need a 4-week training camp? There's been a lot of reporting out there that the plan is bring all the guys back in, get them all in the facility, run through a training camp with them in their own facilities, and then head off to either a single site or one of 2 sites to finish out the season. And it sounds like that's where we're headed.
Talking some NBA here with Keith Smith. Keith, if they do come back, let's say they do get to that 70-game mark, salvage some TV money there, but they've got to play this all out with no fans, which seems almost a certainty at this point. With the revenue lost, where do you see? Do you have any idea where we might see the salary cap end up out of this?
Yeah, we just don't have enough of a sense. My only thing that I believe is they will not let the current structure, which is the formula of basketball-related income, or BRI, they will not let that set the cap for the upcoming season, the 2020-21 season. That's a lot of 20s in there. But they will not let that be what sets the cap, because it's not going to work. As Adam Silver said, the CBA wasn't designed for a pandemic and billions of dollars of lost revenue. It just wasn't set up. So I think you're going to see some special bargaining done by the NBA and the NBA Players Association to set up to really put this thing in a position where they get it back to a better place for everybody, both sides. The good news is both sides seem motivated to do that. They have a great working relationship, unlike what we're seeing in Major League Baseball, where it's very antagonistic and both sides are really going at each other. The NBA they want to work together. They want to save this. This is not where the league is trying to drag the players into playing and make them play and then short them all this money salary wise and that. Everybody wants to be on the same page and find something workable. So anybody who tells you the cap is going to be at this number right now, that's a level of confidence that I can't match. But I can tell you, I do believe that there will be some special bargaining done to avoid it being a massive, massive drop-off, which is what it would be if they just ran it through the regular revenue sharing system.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they are on the same page as opposed to what's happening with baseball. But it's been a double whammy for the NBA. Everything that's happened now since COVID-19, but also starting the year, before the year last summer, as you can recall, the whole deal with China. And yesterday or the day before, I read where it doesn't look like that relationship's going to be repaired. They've already announced that they're not going to air any NBA games if the league returns, and I don't know if there's going to be anything in the future. So they lost that revenue as well. So that plays into it, does it not?
Yeah, it absolutely does. There was already the cap, the initial projection heading into this current season for the 2021 season was going to be $116 million. Now the league knocked it down by $1 million, which a lot of people suggested was a little conservative. That seems like it was probably going to actually be more when you factored in the whole loss of what's coming out of China. And I think that was more of let's knock it down a little, but we'll start, preparing for it. I know teams that were preparing for, as much as a $10 to $15 million drop off of the current projection because of, they get a significant amount of money out of China. But it seems like that was stabilizing a little as far as where the revenue is going to be. It's still a loss, and that still hasn't been fully felt. So you add that to the loss of the in-arena money, the loss of any TV money that is lost now going forward. You're going to have an NBA revenue model that is really decimated, and that's going to be why it's going to necessitate that special bargaining versus just letting the formula set the cap for next year.
Obviously, it's been a disaster for all these teams, but is there any team, if we assuming we get back to action here, we get into the playoffs, Do you see anybody that may have been kind of helped by having this layoff here as we go before we get into a playoff run?
Yeah, I think about three teams when you talk about that. The first is the Philadelphia 76ers. They didn't know what they were going to have with Ben Simmons because of the back injury. He was going to be out for at least the rest of the regular season. That had already been announced. And now the reports were, they came out now it's going to be over a month ago, but that he'd be ready to go when the playoffs come. Now it's a back injury, so those kind of things we've all seen it. Guy's feeling great, and then all of a sudden he's not, and he's out again for another month or so. So I think they are definitely helped by that time. Take a team like the Houston Rockets, who is playing a very small lineup, but in addition to small, they only play about 8 players per night. So those guys are all working extremely hard. They've now had this chance to rest up, but any nagging injuries heal. It's there. And then the Los Angeles Lakers, who play one of the older rotations in the league, they LeBron James had a chance to get off his feet and rest. It's not uncommon for him to kind of take that mid-March to early April, a little bit of a in-season vacation anyway, and that's just obviously clearly here been extended. But I think those are three teams that come immediately to mind when you look at it. And then there's a lot of individual players who are dealing with some nagging injuries, who hopefully this time helps them heal up. But as we saw as the case with Bojan Bogdanovic from the Utah Jazz, he got back to work and the wrist was just too painful for him to kind of power through it. Where maybe had the season kept going, he might have been able to continue to do whatever he was, but as he amped up his activity. So that's something teams are keeping an eye on moving forward as well.
You mentioned Houston. Coincidentally, I'm looking at Twitter as you were speaking, and there's a report from SI.com that Houston is under consideration to host the NBA playoffs. They're looking at Vegas and Orlando, but this report has Houston. I haven't read the story. I'm curious why. But that's another possibility. But you talked about Houston maybe getting an advantage, one of the teams coming out of this long delay and layoff, and Houston could be considered or will be considered to host the playoffs. Now, what about the future, Keith, for this next season? What do you think it does for the 2020-2021 season from a schedule standpoint?
From a schedule standpoint, I do think we're going to see the schedule push back. I don't know how we're not going to. At best, I think the league is hoping to get this season resumed. I've been kind of saying right around 4th of July. That seems to be a point that makes some sense. If you can get guys back in the gym in June, get them ready to go, you finish out the season maybe between 4th of July and right around Labor Day. And then that still allows them to have their 2.5 month break. You do your off season. It won't be summer league at that point. Maybe it'll be fall league on a limited basis. And then you move into a season that's probably going to start right around the holidays, right around Christmas time, which is something that was under consideration anyway. And I think the NBA, they're pretty good at making lemonade out of lemons.
Right.
And they're pretty good at saying, all right, well, let's try it then. Let's see what it looks like to have a season that starts there. Now, everything I've been told, their intention is to play almost no matter what, is to play a full 82-game season next year. But it's likely that at least a large chunk of that season will be played without fans or very limited seating in the arenas, because it just doesn't look like we'll be clear of where we're at with COVID-19 and all that by that time, and able to have big full arenas like we're used to.
With us sitting here with the Grizzlies currently in that 8th spot in the Western Conference, if they do come back, do you see any possible way they would institute some sort of weird tournament to get a final playoff spot to bring more teams into that possibility? Or do you think it'll just be play whatever regular season games we have left and continue with the normal thing as far as the playoff spots go?
I think it's far more likely we see them play modified, shortened version of the regular season. Like I said, get everybody close to that 70-game mark, if not over it, and then let those teams, the teams that are chasing Memphis in the Western Conference, give them at least a fighting chance at making up that ground for a playoff spot. Now, what gets tricky there is some of those, are they going to be playing the teams that they would have had scheduled anyway?
Yeah.
What's that going to look like? That's all going to have to be figured out, there, because it's not likely to be whatever the schedule was. That's just probably impossible at this point. As far as the tournament goes, we'll see. It seems like the NBA is leaning against that. Adam Silver has been very consistent with one thing he has very much said is not going to happen is any kind of single-game elimination style NCAA tournament. He just doesn't believe that crowns a true champion. He believes running the NBA gauntlet of the playoffs, having to win 7-game series, really gets the best team there in the end. So I think anything that takes away from that is going to be really taken off the table. Maybe they do something where there's a play-in for those last couple of playoff spots in each conference, but I think that's probably not going to happen either. I think you're likely to see a shortened regular season, and then we get into the playoffs. Maybe those early rounds of the playoffs are 5-game series or something like that, and then you go into the 7 games for the conference finals and the finals. But I think the goal here has been we want to have as regular playoffs as we can. And I was told by someone with the league, there's enough separation in each conference that if we had to go right to the playoffs, we don't feel like we left anybody out. There's a 3.5-game lead in the West. I believe it's a 5-game lead in the East. So they don't feel like anybody's being overly left out of the running there. That's pretty good separation with the amount of the season that was left.
There's still many more questions than answers, but hopefully we're getting closer to that big decision to return to basketball even without the fans. We are dying for that to happen. Keith, as always, it's a pleasure having you on the program. Stay well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Y'all stay safe, you and yours.
Thanks. Keith. Keith Smith, Yahoo Sports NBA.
Well, this past weekend, we got a little taste of some golf action. Going to get a little more taste of some golf this week with the match with Tiger and Phil and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. If you're getting a little bit of a golf bug as well, want to get out and play some golf, we've got some great weather here for it as well. Go see the folks over at Edwin Watts. They are back open now, and they've got a Memorial Day sale going on, so you can get big savings on a number of things. And they do have safety precautions in place as far as the number of people in the store. They're wearing masks. They've got things to make sure that they are keeping everybody safe. But they are open. They're at the Ridgeway Trace Shopping Center. Nike shoes, 25% off. Callaway's Epic Flash driver, now only $349. G400 driver is only $249. They've got bags, gloves, balls, more. It's all on sale. Apparel as well, up to 25% off. It's all at Edwin Watts. Again, Ridgeway Trace Shopping Center. That's the one right there at Poplar Ridgeway, between Ridgeway and 240 there on Poplar with the Target and Best Buy and PetSmart. They're right next door to the PetSmart there in that shopping center, the still fairly new location of Edwin Watts. Go by. Of course, you can get fitted right there in the store. You could try out clubs in their hitting bays in the back of the store. They've got 3 of them there for you, whether you're looking for club repair, maybe need new grips on your clubs, whatever it is from the world of golf, the folks at Edwin Watts take care of you, and they've got a Memorial Day sale going on right now, so you could save money on many of the things that you need. Go see Jay and the gang at Edwin Watts.
Coming up, we have an update on the NCAA Division I Council meeting that's scheduled for this afternoon, and FanBuzz has put together their top 20 SEC quarterbacks ever. We're going to go over that list when we return. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, that's AM 560, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Has this ever happened to you? I wasn't feeling great, so I searched my symptoms on Google, and now I'm being followed by really uncomfortable ads. I hate feeling like my personal information is being bought and sold. I got DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. With one download, you can search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. It's that simple. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test driven, checked out from head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM. As well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, tell Google or Alexa to play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx.
Here once again
are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control.
I thought the next line was going to be unless it's online classes. The revised edition of this Pink Floyd tune. Welcome back to Sports 56 Middays. I mentioned this earlier. The NCAA Division I Council is meeting this afternoon. On the agenda is whether to lift the suspension of in-person team activities. Right now it's through May 31st. But if they lift it, then student-athletes will be able to come back on campus. And again, there's going to be limitations. And I'm sure it depends on the states and the schools. But at least we're moving in a positive direction. Ohio State AD Gene Smith telling Adam Rittenberg of ESPN that athletes, if they vote this in, will be allowed to return for voluntary workouts June 8th. June 8th. So that's when you can expect some of these student athletes to return if it is voted upon and voted in. So I wanted to talk, we were talking earlier about the college football coaches over the next 10 years, and I thought that was really interesting. I saw this yesterday. Thought I'd bring it up and maybe get some responses from our listeners. You could always text in on the First Bank text line at 67129. You can call in on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255. And, of course, you could always watch us live and message us at Sports56WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Instagram. So they had their criteria. Factors basically is a balance between leading winning programs and broad skill sets. So good numbers, good stats, and things of that nature. They combined the two, and they came up with their top 20 SEC quarterbacks in history. So I'll go over the top 10. I got all 20 if you want to talk about some of these other guys. I could tell you this. There's no Archie Manning on this list. And didn't Jamarcus Russell have like an unbelievable run at LSU? Wasn't he the number one pick in the NFL draft?
Yeah, he was.
He was number one overall pick. I don't know. I'm not sure what his LSU numbers were.
He had a good, to find the bowl game, but he had a really good bowl game. The last game he played at LSU was a good one.
And that is what propelled him to number one, because he's not even on this top 20 list.
He was he was huge with a cannon for an arm. That's one of the big things. I mean, they just loved his raw ability and didn't realize he was going to be drinking the old syrup.
Yeah, a lot of guys.
The purple drink.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of guys here, not a lot of guys, but some of the guys played only 1 year. And I should say 1 year. It's college football. But there was guys who left early. But Cam Newton played only the 1 year at Auburn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is.
The Jamarcus Russell thing is in the 2007 Sugar Bowl. He dueled against Brady Quinn and just absolutely killed him.
And because of his size, his arm strength, and things of that nature, as Eli alluded to. But, yeah, so go ahead.
His his final year at LSU, he threw for 3,100 yards, 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
Okay.
Like, it was a good year, but it was.
But number one overall.
It's just, yeah, I mean, it was more just because he was big and that arm, and they were just like, oh, my gosh, look at this guy. And then, of course, we all know how that turned out.
Okay, so on this list, I think Cam Newton's on this list, is the only one-year guy. Of course, he played JC, but 1 year at Auburn. I think all the rest of the guys, multiple years, if not 4 years, at their particular school. So here's the list. And I know Eli's going to hate it already when I mention who's not at number one. It's not Johnny Manziel. It's Tim Tebow. Tebow.
I would have guessed Tim Tebow was number one.
Peyton Manning, number two. Of course, great career. Did not win the national championship as the quarterback of Tennessee. They won the year after he left. Number three, Danny Werfel of Florida. Number four, Joe Burrow, whose last year at LSU this past season was incredible. Heisman Trophy winning national champion quarterback.
Now you got me upset.
I know. I'm going to get you a little bit more upset.
Like that's again, it's probably the best year anybody's ever put together, but that was 1 year.
Well, get ready for this one.
Johnny Manziel's better.
Cam Newton, number 5. 1 year, national championship. Number 6, there's your boy, Johnny Manziel. Number 6 on this list.
I guess they're probably just giving the extra weight to the national championships, but so I guess I can understand it somewhat.
Tua Tagovailoa is number 7. Aaron Murray, former Georgia quarterback, is 8. Gabe just threw up a little bit in his mouth. Why?
Aaron Murray, man. That's not. Did he ever wow you at any point in his Georgia career?
No.
I don't think he did once, honestly.
Well, get ready
I think
for this
Jake
next
Fromm
guy.
was better.
Get ready for this next guy. Number 9. Again, this is all-time SEC quarterbacks. Love to hear from you on the First Bank text line at 67129 or First Bank phone lines at 360-8255. This was put together by Fan Buzz. They factored in a balance between leading teams to winning programs and broad skill sets, the numbers, the stats, and things of that
Aaron
nature.
Murray's still the career passing leader, so that's why he's on there.
I mean, he
played 4 years, though, right?
Yeah.
All 4.
I mean, if you're the all-time career passing leader, they're going to put you on that list.
But you said he's at 9?
He's at number 8, Aaron Murray. But there's a guy who went 4 years, and then you had Cam Newton, who went 1 year to Auburn but won a national championship. Number 9. Ready? Brace yourself. Chris Leak. Again, Archie Manning not on this list. Number 10, A.J. McCarron. I'll go ahead and give you the other 10. It's the top 20 list they put together. Number 11, Tim Couch. Tim Couch had a great career, and he's 11. Pat Sullivan, number 12, won a Heisman Trophy with Auburn. Didn't do anything in the NFL, not much. Number 13, speaking of Heisman Trophy winner, Steve Spurrier, number 13. Number 14, Tommy Hodson. Do you remember Tommy Hodson? He was the LSU quarterback. You remember him, Eli?
No.
I think he wore number 14. I don't know why I'm thinking that. 14 or 9, something like that. Number 15, Joe Namath. I think you've heard of Joe Namath. Number 16, David Green with Georgia. Number 17, Eli Manning. Number 18, Eric Zier, another Georgia quarterback. Number 19, Drew Lock from Missouri. And number 20, the late Jarrett Lorenzen. That's the top 20. I'm sure there are a number of other quarterbacks that did not make this list that you're scratching your head, but the one that really stands out to me is Archie Manning. But no Jamarcus Russell, and again, as you said, he had the big bowl game, and that propelled him along with his physical attributes.
What was Tua on there?
Tua was number 7.
Tua, okay. I thought I'd heard it, but I couldn't remember where. See, here, this just amazed me as I just looked at this. I didn't realize. But again, this comes back to playing a lot of years. Chris Leak. I would never have guessed this in a million years. Chris Leak is number 4 all-time in passing yards in the SEC.
See, that just shocked me. That shocked me. I knew he had to do something or we wouldn't be on this list. But
if you look at this, is what's weird. I mean, again, because college, it just depends on how many years you play. The top 4 career passing leaders in the okay, I just told you Chris Leak's number 4. We know Aaron Murray's number 1. Give me 2 and 3.
2 and 3?
Career passing yardage leaders in the SEC.
Drew Lock?
Drew Lock is number 2.
Number 3, Tim Couch?
No, Tim Couch is 24th.
24th?
You got to think 4-year guys for this one.
4-year guys. And again, it's not only, as Eli said, 4-year guys, but it's also when they were the quarterback. Even though there's some guys from back in the 60s and 70s, the game has evolved. So who's throwing the ball a lot more? It's the last 10, 15, 20 years. So who would that be? Is it somebody from South Carolina?
No.
Okay.
Is it another person from Mizzou?
No, there's not even a South Carolina guy. The highest South Carolina guy is 23rd, Steve Tannehill.
That's who I was coming up. I thought it was going to be something
Steve
weird
Tannehill
like
was my guy
Tannehill.
when they used to have Sega's college football game when I was in college. When we played our big college football tournaments on Sega, I always took South Carolina because I wanted Steve Tannehill as my quarterback.
Is there a 4-year guy from Bama recently?
I will tell you this: he is not another Missouri guy, but he is another guy. He's the same school as another top 4 guy.
So who did we say? We had Leak from Florida. So Florida.
Somebody texted Archie should be in the top 5. No Ken Stabler, worst list ever. Somebody else says number 13, Tommy Hodson, the Cajun Cannon won the earthquake game.
Yeah, number 14 on this list. But, yeah, I agree with Archie Manning. How he's not on there. I don't know about top 5, but he's top 10, right? So you mentioned Chris Leak, and so Florida. We're thinking Florida. And what was the other guy you said that was in the top 4?
Well, Aaron Murray's number 1 overall.
So Georgia or Florida, right? This other quarterback has to come from, right? Georgia or Florida? It's got to be a Florida quarterback, right? It's not, and we're not talking about Tebow. It's not Warfel. Who is it, Eli?
David Green.
Oh, and he's on the list. He's number 16.
There
Georgia.
are 3 Georgia guys in the top 6 in career passing yards in the SEC.
3 in the top 6.
Aaron Murray's 1.
Okay.
David Green is 3. Eric Zier is 6.
Okay, and Murray's here at 8. And I said that Green's 16 and Zier's 18. So obviously the stats are huge, and then if they have the stats and they also want a championship, they give them much more credence, even if they only went 1 year. Like
if you
Cam
just go
Newton.
down the list though, like career passing yardage leaders, like it's so weird. It's the quarterbacks you think of. So Aaron Murray 1, Drew Lock 2, David Green 3, Chris Leak 4. Again, I'm blown away that Chris Leak is 4th at all-time passers. Then you get Peyton Manning. Okay, makes sense. Eric Zier, then Danny Warfel, okay. Jared Lorenzen 8, Eli Manning 9, Casey Clausen 10.
Wow.
Bo Wallace 11th, Dak Prescott 12th, Andre Woodson 13th, Shane Matthews, Tim Tebow, Rex Grossman, 3 Florida guys right in a row, 14, 15, 16. Then Tommy Hodson, A.J. McCarron, Kyle Shermer, number 19.
Well, again, it's
Eric Ainge, number 20.
The changing of the guard, man. The game has changed. It has evolved. How about somebody brought up
Joe Burrow has more career passing yards than Tim Couch.
Right. It's a different game, so you have to take that into consideration. But somebody brought up Kenny Stabler. How about Burt Jones, one of my all-time favorite players who played at LSU? But it's hard back in the day when they weren't throwing the ball, chucking it around the field like they are in modern times. However, there's still those guys on the list. There's still Pat Sullivan, who won a Heisman. Spurrier won a Heisman. Joe Namath did not.
All right, let's see how you guys do. Top 5 career passing touchdowns.
SEC?
Yes.
Top 5 career passing touchdowns. I would say Warfel's on that list.
Warfel, number 2 with 114.
Peyton's on that list.
Peyton, number 4 with 89.
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock, 99. He's 3rd.
Manziel?
No.
Couch? Couch?
Tim Couch is 16th. Johnny Manziel's 26th. Not total touchdowns. We're talking passing touchdowns. Johnny ran for a lot.
That's true. Tua?
Tua is number 7. There's actually a tie for 5th.
Is Eli on that?
Eli's 8th, 81.
Murray?
Aaron Murray, number 1. Aaron Murray leads the conference career in yardage and touchdowns. That's why he's got to be on that list.
And that's why he still played in the Alliance last year. I mean, he's still playing.
So you said Murray, you said Warfel, you said Locke, you said Peyton. There are 2 guys tied for 5th.
2 guys tied for 5th that we did not mention.
They're both one ahead of Tua. Tua would have gotten it if it hadn't been for the injury. Tua would have been way up there.
Could Burrow have done it in that short a time period?
No, Burrow is 14th, 76.
So 2 tied for 5th.
Both from the same school.
David Green and Zaire?
No.
Chris Leak, Tim Tebow.
There you go.
Nice.
So Chris Leak, 4th in yardage, 5th in touchdowns. I wouldn't have guessed that in a million years.
Nor would I have.
There's nothing that stands out to me about Chris Leak's career at Florida. The dude's 4th in yardage and 5th in touchdowns all time in the SEC.
Didn't he have a brother? Was it CJ Leak? Or is Chris
Yes.
CJ?
Hey, did Leak make that top 20 list?
Yeah, Chris Leak is number 9.
Okay.
That's why I said
Right
hold
after
on.
Aaron
I
Murray.
said hold on to your hats. Here comes Chris Leak. I didn't know his numbers were this good.
I mean, I'm stunned by those numbers.
What did Florida do when he was their quarterback?
Won a national championship.
Yeah, they won the
one year.
national championship.
Leak won a national championship? Oh, my God, man. I've really underestimated Chris Leak.
Got a tweet
Holy
here from
smokes.
Don who says, how did Dak not make that list?
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you were rattling off some of those numbers. What about Dak? When Dak was quarterback, wasn't Mississippi State like number 1 in the nation?
They got to number 1 there briefly, yes.
I mean, Dak, I would say Archie Manning stands out as he has to be on this list. Again, with Stabler, was he great at Alabama? I'm asking because I don't remember, but I know he was great in the NFL. Same with Burt Jones at LSU. But Dak Prescott, but who you kicking off? Because you got Drew Lock at 19, and we just talked about his numbers. Right? And it's not like
I think I've looked up Ken Stabler's numbers before, and they're terrible.
That's what
I was going to say. The other thing, like Archie Manning, why would he make the list? Just because he's a Manning?
No, he was unbelievable.
Ken Stabler. Okay.
What? You're shaking your head. Remember,
statistically, I mean, it's not even close. And I know it's a different time, but it's
Ken Stabler's career numbers. These are his career numbers. He threw for 2,196 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions. That's his entire college career.
Well,
2,000 yards he threw for in a college career.
Archie had 31 TDs to 40 interceptions.
Like it's so it's
numbers
so
aren't that
weird.
good.
Like
He must
trying
have
to
ran for a few too, though. I
the
think
old college numbers are like it's weird. It's just you can take nothing out of him. Dak. Let me pull up Dak's numbers here.
he probably didn't have much. How was Ole Miss with Archie? Didn't they have some good years?
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah.
So Dak, let's see here.
And again, we're not considering what they did in the NFL and guys.
So Dak threw for like his last 2 years. Dak, the 1 year is his junior year, 3,450 yards, 27 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. The last year, basically 3,800 yards, 29 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Jeez.
Also ran for 14 touchdowns as a junior, 10 as a senior.
He's got to be on that list.
This is looking at late 60s, early 70s numbers has got to be the craziest thing. In 1969, Archie Manning was the player of the year in the SEC, and he went 154 for 265. That's 58% of his passes for 1,700 yards, 9 TDs, 9 interceptions, and 502 rushing yards.
Yeah,
That's what he did, and he was the SEC player of the year.
There was like no offense in those days in college football.
Yeah,
because you put Joe Namath on the list. Joe Namath was on that list, right?
Yes, he was. He was 15.
I mean, Joe Namath for his career, 24 touchdowns, 20 interceptions, 2,700 yards. Like, that's it.
It's very hard to compare.
He ran for 15 total touchdowns in his career.
Yeah, but how many women was he with?
I mean, it's if they're
more than David Green, I bet.
If they're going with that, then Tebow should have been knocked way down the list. And Johnny Manziel should have been number 1. If you're combining that in there.
That is really, really tough to compare. I mean, you have to.
Somebody else says if Matt Jones is not on the list, just throw the whole list away.
Matt Jones, man, what a career he had.
He did. I mean,
he did.
He was a terrific. But again, I don't know how you I don't understand.
He got in a lot of trouble, didn't he, Matt Jones?
We talk about trying to compare different eras in sports.
Mm-hmm.
Comparing college, especially the quarterback position, from like now or even the last probably 15, 20 years to anything that happened, probably pre-1980, but certainly pre-1970, they played a different game. It's like they weren't even playing the same game. There was a completely different sport.
No, look, you're absolutely right. However, the top 5, Tebow, Peyton Manning, Danny Werfel, Joe Burrow, Cam Newton, who would you argue that should be on that list or in that top 5? Because you have Manziel, your boy, they have him at number 6, and 2 is number 7. And then Murray with all those numbers we talked about. So who would you knock out? And again, now you're starting to compare the 1-year guy, Cam Newton, to guys that went 4 years. It's extremely tough. I still think Tim Tebow is look, they're all these top 5 guys are some of the greatest quarterbacks have ever played in college football, period. But I still think Tim Tebow is the number 1 quarterback in SEC history. I think he's in a rightful place.
I don't have a problem. I would say I would probably put Tim Tebow number 1.
Is Peyton Manning solidly number 2? Many thought he should have won the Heisman.
Well, the
controversy.
thing is, I mean,
he didn't win the national championship.
He didn't win it. If you're comparing him to a lot of these other guys, he didn't win the championship and he didn't win the Heisman.
Right.
All these other guys have Heisman and championship or Heisman. I mean, how much importance do you put on the Heisman? How much importance do you put on national championships?
Right. Werfel won a Heisman and won a championship, right? Did he win 2? Danny Werfel just won. He won a championship, right? Am I mistaken? The Florida quarterback?
I don't.
Gabe? Check if Werfel won a championship because he won a Heisman, right? Burrow's Heisman and a
all
championship.
Those guys won Heismans
Cam Newton and a Heisman and a championship.
Peyton's the only one in the top, 6 that didn't win a Heisman.
Yeah, Manziel, right? 2 in them. He didn't win one, right? Yeah, 2 won. No,
2 got beat out by Kyler Murray, and then this year got hurt.
That's right, Murray.
Wait, what?
What? With Tua.
Tua
did not win a Heisman.
Oh, didn't win the Heisman. Okay,
right.
I thought you were talking about a national championship.
Yeah, and he's number 7. So, yeah, that's interesting. Peyton Manning's the only one there that doesn't have either the Heisman or the national championship. They won the year after him, and the controversy with Charles Woodson winning the Heisman, but he's still number 2 over some of these other guys. Did you confirm Werfel?
I'm not seeing a natty.
Okay, maybe he didn't win a national championship, but he's got a Heisman. But and again, Burrow only played, what did he play, 2 years at LSU?
Yes.
But a lot of success.
Werfel, let's see here.
He has every individual award you could possibly get, though.
96 Werfel, that team, they finished first in the AP poll anyway. So they were a national champ. They went 12-1. They beat Florida State, blew out Florida State in the Sugar Bowl. So Werfel's last year would have been a championship.
Yeah, so they were crowned the AP champions?
The year before, they got murdered by Nebraska 62-24 in the Fiesta Bowl, finished second in the AP poll.
Okay. All right. We got to take a timeout. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about this before the top of the hour break. And then it'll be Nick Bromberg joining us in hour number 3. Don't forget our 5 favorite songs still to come. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and C.J. Hertz. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 FM.
Attention doctors, nurses, law enforcement, firefighters, and EMT personnel. Infinity of Memphis wants to show their gratitude for what you've done and for what you do for our community. Right now, you can get your personal vehicle a Mobile Super Synthetic or Mobile One oil and filter change for half price. That's only $32.50 or $49.99 respectively. Infinity of Memphis will also wash your car for free. Visit infinityofmemphis.com now to schedule your service. ID is required.
Blood and plasma donations are more important than ever. People all around the world still depend on the medicine your plasma helps make. That's why Interstate Blood Bank and Plasma Biological Services are open and will remain open for our donors. The United States government has declared blood and plasma donation as a critical infrastructure industry. That means healthy donors are allowed to travel to and from donation centers regardless of any stay-at-home mandates in your area. We need you to keep donating so that we can continue to manufacture these life-saving medicines. We understand that you may be concerned about COVID-19. The health and safety of our donors and our employees remain a top priority. To limit the spread of the virus, we're taking additional measures to ensure our centers are safe and clean. Donating now is more important than ever, but please do not come to the center to donate if you are not feeling well or have a sore throat, fever, cough, or shortness of breath. We are doing our part so that you can do yours. Come donate today at one of our IBBI or PBS locations across the Memphis area. Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx.
Here once again
are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Let's do it.
Well, she was an American girl, raised up in promises.
So we were talking during the break about Peyton, and look, there's no question that Peyton Manning was a great quarterback, but he does seem to get the benefit of the doubt when you talk about the comparisons to some of these other guys.
Where was Danny Werfel again?
Danny Werfel was 3.
Okay. He was behind Peyton?
He was behind Peyton.
Because you look at Werfel, the lowest, the 4 years there for him, the lowest they finished in the polls was 7th. They were 5th, 7th, 2nd, 1st his 4 years, including the national championship, obviously, Heisman Trophy. Danny Werfel's college career is incredible.
It is. But I'm going to assume, I don't have the numbers in front of me, that Peyton had better overall stats. But, again, not denying, because I know the Peyton lovers out there, we love Peyton Manning. He was fantastic. And what he did for my Colts was fantastic. But Peyton Manning gets the benefit of the doubt. When he didn't win the Heisman, I know the argument, the controversy, that many thought he should have won, but he didn't. He didn't win. That's the fact. And he also didn't win a national championship at Tennessee. They won the year after with T. Martin at quarterback. Werfel's got a national championship. They were voted #1 that one year, as you mentioned, and a Heisman. So why wouldn't he be ahead of Peyton? Now, Joe Burrow only played the 2 seasons. You're going to knock him for that, but a Heisman and a national championship. Cam Newton only played the 1 year, so I could see them knocking him a couple of notches down, but Heisman and national championship. So, Peyton, it's not like they're giving Peyton, they're putting him up higher on lists because he wasn't great. He was great, but I think the Manning name also means a lot too. Right?
Didn't mean anything for Archie on that list.
Well, on this list, I'm just talking about in the world of college football in general. The Manning name means an awful lot.
Who's the oldest person on that list, even? Like, who is the most throwback name on that list?
It would be Namath, right? Sullivan won the Heisman, I want to say, in 71. Is that right? 71, 73, somewhere in that neighborhood?
It's just so bizarre. Like
Spurrier, maybe? Spurrier or Namath, I think.
To put somebody back at, like, the Archie Mannings of the world, to put them on that list, it's just, I can see why they left him off, but at the same time, he did win SEC Player of the Year. It's just bizarre to try to, especially in football.
Again,
like, you can't.
They were playing a different sport.
Yeah, it's a completely different sport. The statistics. I mean, Joe Burrow has more statistics in 1 year than Archie Manning had in 3.
Oh gosh, it's 3 times. Like, I mean, the touchdowns and yardage. Like, if those guys, if Namath and Archie, they could have had a 10-year college career and not match the season of touchdowns that Joe Burrow just did.
Right.
I mean, it's like they're getting 18 touchdowns in a 3-year career back then.
So
like
you really have to
nothing
look.
happening.
Yeah. So you really have to look at those guys, what they did with the team. How did they lead a team to a national championship? How good were the teams? Their wins and versus losses in their career, because the numbers aren't going to add up. They certainly aren't going to add up to what we see in the last 25 years of college football.
A couple of texts here on the First Bank text line. Tebow was a freshman, mainly playing goal line fullback and a little wildcat quarterback when Chris Leak, quarterback Florida, that national championship. Leak was one hell of a player, but his career is overshadowed by the later Tebow hype. Again, I mean, I remember Chris Leak being like, I remember Chris Leak. If you just said Chris Leak, I'm like, yeah, good solid career at Florida, like nothing spectacular. Would have never guessed he was top 5 in yardage and touchdowns in SEC history. That blows me away.
Yeah, maybe I could blame it on my bad memory. I didn't remember that the Chief, Robert Parrish, played his final year with the Chicago Bulls. So
somebody says, where was Bo Wallace on the touchdown list? Bo Wallace on the touchdown list is...
Didn't you say it was like 11th?
No, touchdowns, he's tied for 27th with 62 touchdown passes in his career.
What was he 11th in?
Yardage,
okay. By the way, speaking of Peyton Manning, this story from the Tennessean. You guys will love this, I think. A 13-year aged Tennessee bourbon whiskey backed by a host of celebrity investors is about to make its debut in the Volunteer State. The roster of around 40 investors behind Sweetens Cove Tennessee bourbon whiskey is studded with names like Peyton Manning, Andy Roddick, Jim Nantz, and Nashville singer-songwriter Drew Holcomb. But Nashville-based Sweetens Cove Spirits doesn't want the focus to stop with them. They got a bunch of guys who have invested, not just guys, gals as well, who've invested into this whiskey. So there you go. That should help Peyton Manning. Maybe he'll move up to number 1 ahead of Tebow. You got one guy who drinks and is backing in whiskey, and another guy who probably doesn't drink. Coming up, Nick Bromberg is going to join us. We'll talk college football and NASCAR. That's next. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops with their Memorial Day sale happening May 22nd through the 25th. All Nike golf shoes are 25% off. Score an epic deal on Callaway's Epic Flash Driver, now only $349. Save big with the G400 driver, now only $249. Remember, the more you buy, the more you save, and receive up to 25% off all apparel. Edwin Watts Golf Shops Memorial Day sale happening May 22nd and May 25th. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving golfers since 1968.
Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
We know staying in is a little easier when you can grill out. That's why Ace will help you get a great grill for your family from the best brands like Big Green Egg, Traeger, and Weber. And with your local Ace right in your neighborhood, we'll assemble and deliver your grill for free. Then, to make it even easier, we'll include free fuel to help you get grilling. The brands you love and the service you trust, only at Ace. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members through May 31st on grills and accessories $3.99 and up. Propane tank not included. See participating stores for scheduling or exclusions.
Hey everybody, our friends at All Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch say congrats to the high school and college class of 2020. And it's a great time to help your grad get a new or pre-owned Chevy. And if you're ready to get that new Suburban, Tahoe, Silverado, Blazer, or even pre-order one of those hot new Corvettes, All Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch is where you want to be. Because the people at All Star Chevy make it fun, easy, and safe, whatever makes you comfortable. They'll even bring any All Star Chevy car, truck, or SUV to you. And you'll pay a lot less than at those city dealers. GM's financing means means no payments for 4 months and 0 interest for 84 months. That's on any new Equinox or Silverado. Thousands in cash back with Blazers, Silverados, and more. And everybody at All-Star Chevy has one job: to make sure you get a better deal, have more fun, and in record time. And all sanitized and safe for you. They'll even pick up and deliver for maintenance and service. Remember, it's not the Pike, not South Haven, not Mount Moriah or Collierville. It's gotta be Olive Branch, people. So find new roads to All-Star Chevrolet today or go to allstarautogroup.com.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM. As well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, tell Google or Alexa to play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned to real sports talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
The landscape is so beautiful at Town Village Audubon Park. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, theme dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx. This hour is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quincy White Station. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Final hour for us today here on Sports 56 Middays, the Hump Day, Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 edition of the program. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoie, Gabe Kuhn. We're in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure is here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. They're offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. All types of great deals at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Sports 56 Middays is delivered each and every day by our title and presenting sponsor, the great folks at the FedEx Corporation. FedEx can help provide global access for your business. You can learn more at fedex.com/e-commerce. And the third hour of the program is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at 5143 Quince Road. Convenience, service, knowledge, and price. Give them a call at 901-683-8688. You can go in the store, curbside pickup, and delivery as well. They're open Monday through Saturday, 8 to 7, Sunday from 10 until 4.
Coming up, I've got you can do a lot of fun with numbers when it comes to college football and comparing players from different generations. And it college football has just changed as a whole so much. Quarterbacks completely different, but even other positions, because there's so many plays ran now that and so many more games played that yardage numbers are completely deceiving.
Yeah, it's something we possibly talked to Nick about. Nick Bromberg, college football reporter for Yahoo Sports College Football, and NASCAR reporter for Yahoo Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Nick Bromberg. He joins us now on Sports 56 Middays. Nick, I hope you're doing okay.
Yeah, not bad. I'm waiting for the sun to be out for maybe 3 straight days here in Kansas City and actually feel like spring. It's like every morning you wake up and it's gray and cloudy and like 57 degrees here.
Wow, we've had some pretty good luck. I mean, really since the whole thing stopped, the world stopped with COVID-19, our spring has been pretty good in Memphis. So knock on wood, we got that going for ourselves, which is nice. But other than that, not much. So
yeah, none of us have any sports to worry about. Although we have racing back, assuming the weather cooperates in South Carolina tonight.
Yeah, and that's interesting because you cover both college football and NASCAR. Yet I know it's a limited amount of people from the media who can cover the NASCAR since it resumed on Sunday. In fact, I think it's just single digits of who can cover it. So I think now it's tough if that's what you do, having to cover things from far away.
Yeah, especially for the people who travel to 30-some races a year. And, so basically, if you're a NASCAR reporter, there's 4 people allowed into each race, into the press box. And, Fox's announcers aren't even on site. Mike Joy, Jeff Gordon, they're calling the race remotely from Charlotte. So you've got some of the production folks from Fox, running the cameras, doing the production, things like that need to be on site. But everybody else pretty much isn't. And so NASCAR has done some things that, quite frankly, I think, would have been awesome had they done 10 years ago, but better late than never in terms of in terms of internet media access for people who are not at the track, like live video feeds, live timing and scoring, things like that. So people can do their job remotely. But at the same time, quite frankly, I also think, too, it's a situation now where, if you're not at the track, you can do just as good of a job than if you are at the track, because the 4 people who are at the track right now, they are literally confined to one press box on the outside of the track. You can't go interview anybody. You're on the same Zoom teleconference as everybody else at the end of the race. I mean, so, yeah, you see a race in front of you, but you're not going anywhere really communicating with anybody that you couldn't do if you were watching it on TV at home.
What did you think of a race without fans? How different did you think it was?
It felt weird. And, this is coming from somebody who I've watched, I can't remember how many, NASCAR races I've watched on Mondays and Tuesdays that have been rained out from previous weekends. And so you always kind of get that empty, eerie stadium vibe from it. But this time I think it was different because flat out the grandstands were pretty much basically empty to begin with. But it was the infield that was totally empty. Like when you see a NASCAR race on TV, you're used to seeing campers and all the VIP setups and tents and just a full infield. It was just empty and barren. So that did take a little bit of getting used to. But I will say this, I got so used to seeing people in masks throughout the entirety of the race, from crew members, from drivers beforehand. When Kevin Harvick, immediately jumped out of his car and they lean a boom mic over to him in the middle of the racetrack. And, he obviously doesn't have a mask in his car because he's wearing his helmet. And, he's talking to this long boom mic without one. It kind of, I went, oh, he's not wearing a mask. It was like that whole, we got conditioned to the abnormal for 3 hours, and then suddenly the normal felt abnormal.
Yeah, that's a good point. It happened also on Sunday. You're talking about that NASCAR race. There was that golf event down in Florida with Rory and DJ and Steve Sands from the Golf Channel on NBC, who's a friend of mine. He's coming on our show tomorrow. He's got the boom mic reaching out to Rory. Rory doesn't have the mask on. It's just we're used to now seeing these masks, so that was certainly weird. And I know at the start of the race, and it was Darius Rucker singing the national anthem from wherever he was, home, I assume. Just that was all strange. But the race itself, to me, was not. And I think it was Ryan Newman, who has made a miraculous comeback, as you know. I think it was Ryan Newman who said, hey, when we're racing, we don't even notice those fans up there. So I think the racing part of it, although it was a little bit different when they had to pit stop and things of that nature, was pretty much what we used to seeing as far as racing, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the best way to describe how different it was when Harvick got out of his car, he's used to hearing cheers. After, you win a race, you get out of the car, you're like, heck yeah, I'm going to have the fans cheer for me, I can wave to them, and they're not there. So I think that's different. But from the racing perspective, no. I mean, for the most part, it was pretty much business as usual for that. And I think it's going to be kind of like that tonight, assuming they can race. And, I think NASCAR, I really don't know how to put into context the TV number of how many people watched Sunday's race, because we all knew that it was going to be better than a normal race. And just simply because 10 weeks off, really no other competition, we all knew it was going to be better. I don't know necessarily if anybody knew how much better. And so, 6.3 million people, that's really pretty good. But at the same time, all you have to do is rewind 4 years, and a May Talladega race ended up getting more people than that. In May of 2016, more people watched that Talladega race than watched Sunday's race. That kind of shows you where NASCAR is now in its normal of television numbers. So if this race happens tonight, and it's 5 Central Time for us, 6 Eastern, I am interested to see what the TV numbers look like for the last, say, 100 laps, last hour of the race, because this is the weeknight race that counts, Chance, I think, for NASCAR here, because, Sunday, it's a spring Sunday. A lot of people might have been out with their families, trying to get outside and get out of the house. Now there's no baseball. There's no NHL, no NBA playoffs for anybody to be tuning into. NASCAR has the sports night all to itself. What is it going to be for the people who are sitting at home looking for something to watch on TV? If they get this race done, what is that TV number going to look like?
With doing this, these races twice a week, and then do the same thing next week, how they're doing it at the same place and then they travel for Sunday? Like, how challenging is this on these teams?
It's tough. How they tried to do this with Darlington being Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So yesterday was supposed to be the Xfinity Series race. That got rained out. So that's been pushed to Thursday. So you have the number 2 series teams, basically, teams, crew members are driving back and forth, but, the cars are having to stay in Darlington for an extra couple of days because they're going to try to run that race at 11 a.m. tomorrow. That's why they tried to do Darlington here, is because it was within driving distance. You can do basically 90 minutes to 2 hours each way, and you can make that done. So that's why they didn't say go to Atlanta or Talladega right now, because they wanted to keep this within an easy driving back, say like somebody was trying to go to a college sporting event in a nearby town. But this is tough. I mean, the reason they also did this too is the races that were before the pandemic happened. Atlanta and Homestead were scheduled, I think, March 15th, March 21st, 15th, 22nd, something like that. Anyway, teams basically had those cars prepped. And so obviously nobody was in their shop pretty much for the last half of March, the entire month of April. So those cars were sitting there, but basically ready to race. Mm-hmm. So not only was Darlington within driving distance, you could use the same car that you prepped for Homestead or Atlanta with some minor changes at Darlington. You can use that same car, one of those same cars at Charlotte with some minor changes. So instead of, say we're going to try to run Bristol first race off the bat, you would have teams scrambling to get back to their shops at the beginning of May and then have to prepare a car that they had, that was further down their checklist of things to have ready when racing stopped so long ago.
Yeah, it makes sense, the proximity and like you just described with the cars for that particular track. But it was weird because Darlington has not been used for the Cup since, 2004? So instead of starting off in Charlotte, which is right down the road, they instead picked the track that they haven't raced on in a long time.
Well, they haven't had a spring race at haven't had a spring race during the day at Darlington since 2004. Because Darlington's been the Labor Day race since, I'm trying to think back here, for the last 4 or 5 years, probably.
Okay. So they still have had a race. Okay, I didn't know that.
Exactly. But it's the first time they've been to Darlington in the spring in a while.
Gotcha.
And so also too, quite frankly, Darlington has a second race, so Darlington's going to have 3 races this year, and I cannot tell you off the top of my head when the last time a track had 3 points races, and Darlington getting 3 races, Charlotte now also getting 3 races. Because you're going to run a second race at Charlotte next Wednesday. That cuts races from Chicago, Iowa for the Xfinity Series and Truck Series. They canceled everything up at Iowa. Chicago's not having a race this year. Richmond lost 1 of 2 races, and then NASCAR's not trekking all the way to Sonoma. Sonoma's going to be back on the schedule. I think everybody wants to keep the road course race out there. Richmond still have its race in the fall. I think a lot of people want Chicago back. NASCAR owns that track because Chicago does produce really pretty good racing. But, I do think it's tough in the circumstance Chicago is in to basically say, hey, look, sorry, we're not hosting a race in 2020 and we're coming back in 2021.
Going back to before we resume the racing, what did you think of the virtual racing or whatever you want to call it that they were doing?
I think it was a situation where it gave NASCAR some TV windows to fill, because I think there was the easy thing that had NASCAR not done anything, you could have gone out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. Because especially when you're not a series that's on the forefront of the American sporting landscape, you can go out of sight, out of mind. And also, too, NASCAR has really been pushing iRacing. They have a weekly iRacing series of guys who are not professional racers, guys who race on iRacing and have gotten really good at it. So this was the chance for NASCAR to kind of double dip. Is we can stay in the forefront of people's minds and give people something to watch, and we can also promote this thing that we've really been trying to promote for the last, I think, year, 18 months probably. So in that sense, I do think it was a success. I mean, simply getting a video game race streamed on TV and getting hundreds of thousands of people to watch, in my eyes, is a success. And I think a lot of people had really high hopes after, I think one or two races ended up getting over 1 million viewers. But I think it showed, simply that, yes, you got hundreds of thousands of people to watch video game racing in a pandemic. I think with a lot of competition, that number is going to be a lot lower, obviously. And I think it also proves that people much prefer real racing to video game racing.
And of course, Kyle Larson.
I was just going to say, one guy would disagree with you, Nick.
Yeah, you say that was the race. Yeah, that was the race on NASCAR's website. And lo and behold, that's, Kyle Larson, here we go from being, the rising up-and-coming star, potentially the most in-demand free agent in NASCAR in decades. I mean, I'm being serious. And not in the Dale Earnhardt Jr. sense, when Jr. went from DEI to Hendrick back in the late 2000s, but I'm talking about in the drivers, in the sense of if you hire a guy, he could go win multiple championships in the right equipment. And simply put, not happening anymore. And I think it's a very fair question to ask on when and if we are going to see Kyle Larson in the Cup Series in the next few years.
One other thing about NASCAR, I want to get your thoughts on college football before we let you go, but the one thing about NASCAR today, while there's still stars, there's certainly the stars at the top. Jimmy Johnson last year, we know that Kenseth came out of retirement to race. We almost lost Ryan Newman. I'm looking at normally back in the day, I would look at the NASCAR lineup. There would be 43 cars. Now there's 40. And I go, okay, maybe the last 5 or 6 guys, I'd be like, who's that? Maybe it's an up-and-comer or an old veteran would still be racing a car. And then, there would be 35 big names that you knew. We don't have that anymore. They're lacking to some degree the big names that we used to have all over the track.
No, I fully agree with that. And I think that's what happens when you have successive retirements like Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. And then you also can go to the subgroup of that. And just below, and you say, well, Carl Edwards left. Matt Kenseth left. And you just kind of go on and on about the people who have departed NASCAR. And you look at also, too, just how stable it was for that early and mid-2000s boom of the guys who were around. And then, obviously, they aged out. They also, too, I think the lack of star power is associated with, I don't necessarily know if it's a direct correlation, but it's definitely associated with, in my view, the lack or the dwindling number of really high-dollar corporate sponsors. Because we all know now that sponsorship money is at a premium, and, it is very rare to see a company like FedEx be on Denny Hamlin's car for the entire year. I think FedEx is one of 2, maybe the only company, anyway, FedEx is one of 2, let's say, companies who sponsor one car the entire season. Mm-hmm. It's more common to see 4 or 5 companies sponsoring a car over the course of the season. And what I'm trying to get at is when you have full season sponsors on cars, you were able to latch yourself onto that guy for the entire year, and you made him marketable as the Napa driver, or you made him,
right.
Dale Earnhardt, GM Goodwrench, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Budweiser, you kind of
Richard Petty, STP.
Exactly. You put these guys in commercials and you associate them with your brand. That's harder to do when these guys are representing multiple brands. And so I do think, Lowe's left Jimmy Johnson and now it's Ally. So you look at that, and I think you have to say that there's definitely some sort of correlation there.
All right, before we let you go, college football, obviously you cover that for Yahoo Sports as well. We're asking everybody that's associated with college football that comes on the show to give us their gut feeling about what we can expect to see in the fall. So without further ado, Nick Bromberg, what are your thoughts?
I think that they're going to play. I think there's going to be some sort of disruption somewhere. I realize that's a very broad and blanket statement that could apply to anything, but I think we're going to see a scenario where there are significant players having to, miss games because they get sick, or teams are going to have to, scramble and figure something out. And, I was just having this discussion today with a coworker, and, just as I'm reading stuff about this, I think the odds are pretty good And I'm not saying this is going to be a star-level player, but this is going to be – I think the odds are decent that we may see somebody who college football fans go, okay, I recognize that name. Somebody who's been around for a couple of years and say, hey, look, I don't see this risk is worth it for me. I'm going to go ahead and sit out the season. Because to me, a player doing that with the fears of this virus, especially if we start to see still a spike as we go through the summer, just however things play out, I could see that happening as the logical second step to players sitting out bowl games for safety reasons.
Do you see some of the schools lingering behind, not starting the season? For example, some of those teams out in California, although I think it was encouraging news from Gavin Newsom the other day, yet the schools still don't plan to be open with student body in the fall. I mean, there's a lot of things that certainly are fluid and could change, but do you think that if the college football season starts on time, that it's not going to include everybody?
I wouldn't, I think when Cal State University System last week said, hey, look, our classes are going to be all online. A couple days later, Missouri Athletic Director Jim Sturck made a very good point. He's like, there's a difference between a closed campus, which nothing is happening on campus, nothing can happen on campus, and a campus that is open but with online classes. And I think a lot of schools and universities are going to figure out a way to have that ladder set up where maybe most instruction is online, but the campus is open to anybody who needs and wants to be on campus, which then opens the door for athletes and football players either. Now, are they going to contest games with fans? Maybe not. But the more kind of people talk about this, and especially the more things have happened in college football over the next 10 days, it sure seems like June 1st for a lot of schools is going to get green-lighted for voluntary workouts. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be surprised if the season starts on time or sometime in September. I think now we may be shifting the real question mark of the season starting to, is the season going to be able to finish like we want and expect it to?
He is Nick Bromberg, college football reporter for Yahoo Sports College Football, NASCAR reporter for Yahoo Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Nick Bromberg. Always a pleasure, Nick. Stay well.
Hey, you guys too, and hopefully we get some nice spring weather. And, gosh, it's already June. Who could think about it?
It's incredible. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Hopefully they'll have the race tonight with the weather in North Carolina. East Memphis Ace Hardware, 5143 Quince Road. It's right next door to Billy Hardwick's All-Star Lanes. Locally owned and operated by Jarrett and Philip Carter. Ace is all about convenience and service. It's about that personal human touch. You don't always get it at the big box stores. In fact, a lot of times it's hard to even find somebody who works there. They have dynamic bilingual employees. They have fast service, competitive prices, state-of-the-art key center, including rekeying door locks. They have exclusivity on the replacement Duracell key fobs, so they have that program that'll save you 30 to 50% from the dealer's prices. You can get a great discount by going to East Memphis Ace Hardware and getting that replacement Duracell key fob. They have a full variety of Benjamin Moore paints and the experts to help you pick out the right colors. Ace can take care of your plumbing challenges. They can cut glass, including plexiglass, sharpen your lawnmower blades. They have a new garden center. Best price on bird seed, the latest models on the Weber and the Traeger grills. They also have the very popular Big Green Egg. If it's air filters you need, light bulbs, if you need your screens repaired, they can do that as well. Come to Ace for your home maintenance projects. They will steer you in the right direction. Your neighborhood Ace in East Memphis for convenience, service, knowledge, and price. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 to 7, Sunday, 10 to 4. You can call them, find out what they have in stock, 901-683-8688. Again, they're taking all the precautionary measures for your safety. You can go in the store, get curbside pickup or delivery. It's East Memphis Ace Hardware, third-hour sponsor of Sports 56 Middays. Coming up, it's our 5 favorite songs. Get your list in. Today, the subject is fire. The word fire needs to be in the title of your song. You can text them in on the First Bank text line at 67129. Also, watch us live. Message us your list at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Instagram. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
Hey, sports fans, you already know the Butcher Shop has been a great Memphis tradition since 1981, and it still is. The Butcher Shop is absolutely open for your takeout with curbside pickup or Grubhub delivery because the Butcher Shop is still serving your favorite steaks, fish, and seafood. But now you can also pick them up raw and take them home to cook. You get the highest quality from the Butcher Shop and the comfort of home cooking, All wine and beer selections can be sold and picked up curbside as well. Plus, order curbside and pickup and receive 10% off your food order. And how about Burger Fridays? Treat your company to lunch, and the Butcher Shop will deliver Hamburger Friday any day of the week with all the fixins for just a minimum $250 order. The Butcher Shop is here for you, so don't worry about getting a great meal. The Butcher Shop has cooked or uncooked meals for curbside pickup or Grubhub delivery. Call 757-4244 or online at thebutchershop.com. The Butcher Shop at the Agri Center, Walnut Grove, and Germantown Parkway.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farm All, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farm All that's right for you.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
If you could hear a DQ treat, what would it sound like? A Blizzard treat sounds like family board game night. A Sunday sounds like an indoor movie marathon. And a Fudge and Crunch cake sounds like a birthday wish come true. Ah, the sweet sound of treats. Use takeout or visit the DQ drive-thru for all your favorites. Thank you for making us part of your together.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays delivered by FedEx. This hour is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quincy White Station. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Pour me something tall and strong, make it a hurricane before I go insane. It's only
Welcome back, everybody. Tomorrow on the program, Steve Sands will join us from the Golf Channel on NBC. He was involved in the coverage of this past Sunday's event, the charity event with Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson, Ricky Fowler, Matthew Wolff, and he was the on-course reporter, so we'll talk to him about how strange that was. Tim Mulqueen will join us tomorrow, the Memphis 901 FC coach, and tomorrow, of course, we'll have, as we do every day, our 5 favorite songs. I'll give you the subject a little bit later on. We're going to have our 5 favorite songs for today in just a moment. Shams reporting, Eli, that the NBA has Orlando/Disney World as a clear frontrunner for return to play site for resuming the 2019-2020 season. Orlando has gained significant seriousness among other cities such as Las Vegas and Houston, which was reported today as being in the mix from SI.com. But Shams reporting that Orlando Disney World would be the frontrunner. I know they have the wide world of sports there. I wonder how many basketball courts they have. How this would all work.
Do you think if somebody wins a championship, they're going to say, I'm actually already at Disney World.
Do they have a parade right down Main Street with nobody there? So, and I wonder when Disney and all that stuff reopens. I don't think anytime soon. But seriously, how many? If you have all the teams there,
they have 12 courts.
They have 12 courts.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So they do have the facility to be able to do it. and get it done. So we'll see where we go as far as that's concerned. But hopefully, got our fingers crossed that they will be able to resume. I like what we were talking about earlier with Keith Smith, Eli, that he said that according to his sources, people he's talked about or talked with in the NBA about the situation, that there probably won't be some sort of play-in game or play-in tournament for that 8th playoff spot in the West, which would bode well for the Grizzlies, maybe hanging in there even if there's several regular season games still to be played to stay and maintain that 8th spot and be in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't go to some weird tournament, I mean, the Grizzlies are pretty much assured of making the playoffs. I mean, it's not like they're going to play the rest of the season out, so they play 5, even 10 games. It'd be almost impossible for the Grizzlies to lose that spot.
Right, they have is it a 4-game lead?
I think it's 3.5.
3.5 on that final playoff spot.
But the thing is, too, that's weird is, as he said, like, what of the games you're going, if they say they decide, all right, we're going to play, everybody's going to go to 70 games, because, again, that's a big number as far as local TV contracts. Like, how do they determine who's playing who out of their remaining schedules? Or what? Like, how do you determine that what 5 games the Grizzlies are going to play?
Keith, I guess, got off the phone with us and called somebody at Disney, because Keith Smith reporting that sources from Walt Disney World tell me we are confident we'll be hosting the NBA in some fashion. It may not be the entire league, but we believe the NBA will be here to at least finish part of their season. Still hurdles to cross, but we are preparing as if that is the case. So interesting. All right, time for our 5 favorite songs. Today the subject is the word fire. The word fire needs to be in the title of your song. If you've not gotten your 5 in, you can text them on the First Bank text line to 67129. Again, you can watch us live here. If you're watching us live, hello. You can message us with those lists at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Instagram. Okay, I'm going to get a kick started today. Here are my 5 favorite songs of all time with the word fire in the title. Number 5, Light My Fire by The Doors. Number 4, Standing Outside the Fire by Garth Brooks.
Oh, look at you going country on me.
Well, you know this. People don't know this, but I love that song, so I purchased it for my iPhone, my iTunes, and I didn't get. I said, "What did I purchase?" Eli goes, "Nope, Garth Brooks material is not available." So it was somebody else singing Standing Outside the Fire. They did a great job, and I like it. I enjoy it, but it's not Garth.
It will always. I hope at some point he decides to release his music to like iTunes, just because I want to know how much money he will make that day.
I wonder how many artists have not released their tunes, their songs to iTunes. I wonder how many there are. Because pretty much I can get everybody else.
There's not very many. Didn't Taylor Swift do that for a long time, but then she finally did release hers? I can't remember. I feel like there was.
I do not have a Taylor Swift song.
Maybe
so
it's
I don't
not
know.
her, but somebody else. I mean, pretty much. I think everybody has it available, but for whatever reason, Garth just. I wonder if you can get. I never looked at this. Wonder if you can get Trisha Yearwood's music on there.
I don't know.
Wonder if it's a family deal or if it's just Garth.
Either way, Standing Outside the Fire, number 4, almost had another country song in my top 5, did not make it. Number 3, this is a good song. I don't know if a lot of people know this song, Smoke from a Distant Fire, the Sanford Townsend Band. Guess that they may be country, Sanford Townsend Band, Smoke from a Distant Fire.
I've never heard of them at all.
Oh, we're going to definitely have to listen to that one later on, Smoke from a Distant Fire. Number 2, St. Elmo's Fire. Theme song from the movie St. Elmo's Fire.
Wow.
Which was filmed at the University of Maryland, by the way. John Parr, that's number 2. Here's my number 1.
Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you. I walked out this morning and I wrote down this song. I just can't remember who to send it to. I've seen fire and I've seen rain.
The great James Taylor, the original JT, with Fire and Rain.
Fantastic song.
It is a very, very good song. Very good. I like that song a lot.
All right, there's my 5. Mr. Kuhn, you're second today.
My turn already. Okay. Let's do it. Number 5, goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire. Jerry Lee Lewis makes it at number 5. 4, Set Fire to the Rain by Adele. Are y'all fans of that song?
I don't know that one.
You had like the fight song the one day.
I said that song came up a lot when I was doing this. I don't know. Maybe I've heard it and I just don't know that's the title of it. I don't know that song.
Interesting.
I like Adele stuff.
Might have to play it.
I actually
Might
like
have to play
Adele
it.
normally, so I probably would like it.
Number 3, Fire and Desire by Drake. Number 2, Fire and Rain, James Taylor. That was a really it was very close to being number 1 on my list. And then number 1, We Didn't Start the Fire, Billy Joel.
Great song.
I surprise you every day. Huh?
I thought there was one song I thought for sure you were going to have on your list today that you did not.
By the way,
which one?
Chris Stapleton, Fire Away. I thought for sure you'd come back with Chris Stapleton today.
I'm a fan. It barely missed.
By the way, tough subject. There were a lot of good songs with Fire.
Oh, this was extremely difficult for me. I was down to like 10, and it was really a battle for me to figure out how to get it down. Because there's like you guys have that one right there. We Didn't Start the Fire. Like I wanted to put that in my top 5, and I just couldn't get it in there.
I was the same as you. I had it, considered it, but did not make the cut.
All right, I am going to give an honorable mention today. I didn't need to, I guess, because Gabe had it, but I couldn't put Great Balls of Fire in my top 5. But I mean, come on, Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire, the Memphis Connection, you got to have it in there. So I'm going to give it an honorable mention. Number 5, Fire and Rain, James Taylor. Number 4, a guy who I did not realize, but he actually has a lot that fit this category. Bob Seger, I went Fire Down Below.
Yeah, could have went with
Fire Inside and
Fire Lake.
Fire Lake. He has 3 Fire songs, which I didn't even realize that until I started looking at it.
Bruce, by the way, Bruce has like 5 really good Fire songs, including Fire, and I didn't use any of them.
Number 3, I'm on Fire, Bruce Springsteen.
There you go.
Number 2, this was a tight battle here. Number 2, Ring of Fire, Johnny Cash.
I knew you would use that one.
And then number 1,
that it would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar if I was to say to you, girl, we couldn't get much higher. Come on, baby, light my fire.
The Doors, Light My Fire.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
In a tight battle, takes my number 1 spot.
So you had Light My Fire 1, Fire and Rain 5. I had Light My Fire 5, Fire and Rain at number 1. Great song.
I love that song.
Jim Morrison and the Doors. By the way, yesterday I had hinted towards we were talking about Earth, Wind, and Fire, and and they have a song about fire. I didn't know that, but I said, yeah, there's a song about fire that I'm sure will make my top 5 from a group that I saw at an old Memphis in May music fest. I ended up not using them, but it was the Ohio Players with Fire.
Mark Lindsay has no Fire songs.
He may.
Mark Lindsay showing today.
We're going to get to a Mark Lindsay. I've got somebody sent me an email about Mark Lindsay that I'm going to get to coming up here in a little bit.
But by the way, before you get to the rest of the people, I just got this text from Front Row Jay. He's got Fire and Rain at number 5. He's got Sex on Fire by the Kings of Leon at number 4. He's got Fire Woman by the Cult at number 3. Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash at number 2. That's where you had him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And number 1, I'm on Fire by Bruce Springsteen, which you also had in your top 5. Did not make my top 5.
All right. Miss Dreas comes with number 1, Through the Fire by Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan.
Number 2, Fire and Desire, Rick James and Tina Marie. Number 3, Fight Fire with Fire, Metallica. Number 4, the song from the movie St. Elmo's Fire.
There you go.
And number 5, Firehouse by Kiz. Is Kiz a thing?
Never heard of that one.
K-I-Z-Z, or is that supposed to be Kiss?
Oh, it might be Kiss. I don't know. Gabe, you're going to have to look up Smoke from a Distant Fire, too. Just a reminder.
That's supposed to be Kiss.
Is it supposed to be Kiss?
Yes.
Okay. Another one here. Light My Fire by The Doors. Ring of Fire.
Which song is it, Greg, that you want me to look up?
Smoke from a Distant Fire.
Fire on the Mountain by Marshall Tucker Band. Another one that was I wanted to get in my top 5 and couldn't. I love that song. Standing Outside the Fire by Garth Brooks. Great Balls of Fire by Jerry Lee Lewis. Raider Corey. Number 1, Girl on Fire, Alicia Keys.
Okay.
We Didn't Start the Fire, Billy Joel. Serpentine Fire by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Number 4, Set Fire to the Rain by Adele. And number 5, Fire Away, Chris Stapleton. Yeah, I wanted to get Stapleton and Garth Brooks both in my top 10.
I can't believe how many great Fire songs there are.
I knew there were a lot when I said it yesterday. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be. Another one here. Fire in the Wire. The Breaks. It's an 80s band from Memphis. Okay. Paper and Fire. John Mellencamp. I wanted to put that one in my top 5. Fight Fire with Fire. Kansas. Did Kansas do that?
Which one?
Fight Fire with Fire. I thought that was Metallica. Or did Kansas redo it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Light My Fire by The Doors. And number 1, Fire Woman by The Cult. Somebody just says, Fire and Rain, come on, baby, light my fire. Jimi Hendrix, Fire has to be on my list, somebody says.
Kansas has a Fight Fire with Fire, completely different lyrics, completely different song.
Oh, okay. Somebody says, great choices today, Greg, even if you don't know Copperhead Road. Let's see here. Let me figure this one out, the order this goes in. I'll have to skip that one. I got to figure out. Fire by the Ohio Players.
Yeah, I mentioned that one.
Somebody comes with Fire Lake, Bob Seger. Fire by the Doors, 2. Ring of Fire, Johnny Cash, 3. Smoke from a Distant Fire, number 4. And I'm on Fire, Springsteen, number 5. Honorable mention, this is Cardinal Steve. Standing Outside the Fire by Garth Brooks and Jerry Lee Lewis with Great Balls of Fire. Somebody says Ring of Fire, all-time number 1. I mean, listen, can't argue with Johnny Cash. I had it at number 2, but I have no problem with it being at number 1. Couple here, John on Facebook. Fire Down Below, Wildfire, Ring of Fire, Great Balls of Fire, and Fire on the Mountain. Well, who's Wildfire?
Michael Martin Murphey. Wildfire.
Okay.
But that was the name of that was the name of the horse. They ran calling Wildfire. Is it Wildfire? Is that right? Let me double check that. Would you accept that, Eli? You made the choice for this subject.
The name Fire in the?
It's Wildfire.
Is the word Fire in the title? It's quite simple. I don't know. Is Wildfire the title?
I believe it is.
Then that counts. Fire's in the title.
Okay. Yeah, Wildfire. Michael Martin Murphy. That was a good song. It was a really good song.
Let's see here. On Periscope, this is Ray. Ring of Fire, Light My Fire, Serpentine Fire. And number 1, We Didn't Start the Fire. Billy Joel. I really like We Didn't Start the Fire. That's a really good song. Let's see here. Got some more that are coming in via text. Fire and Rain, James Taylor at number 5. Number 4, Fire, Bruce Springsteen. Number 3, Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire, Jimi Hendrix. Number 2,
another good one.
Just Like Firewood, The Saint. I don't know. Burnin' for You by Blue Oyster Cult does not count. No. It has to have the word fire. It can't be about burning. It can't be anything. Is the word fire in the title? Let's see.
By the way, I considered this one. I
Fire by the Pointer Sisters?
Yeah, that was the same as Springsteen. It's,
Okay.
yeah, it's the same song. Did you guys even consider The Roof is on Fire?
No.
Remember that song? The roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let the MFer burn. Remember that? You don't remember that song?
I remember that song, but I did not consider it in any way, shape, or form.
I can't believe Gabe never heard of that. Gosh, how young is Gabe? I feel like that's from like 15 years ago.
Somebody very nice that wanted to say this is the best show on radio. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. You can still get some of those texts in. I do want to read this email, though. David sent this to me. I call him Dr. V. About your boy. He said, Arizona notwithstanding, Lindsey enjoyed a long and successful career in the entertainment business. He performed, wrote songs for airplay, TV show themes, and movies. He lived in Nashville for quite a while, and I was friends with some of his neighbors. They really liked him and found him to be a much more of a regular fellow than rock star. He was fortunate to be multi-talented and could do well in the business behind the scenes. He retired and moved to Maine, but has since begun to tour again and play concerts.
Wow, how about that?
So there you go. You could still catch a Mark Lindsey concert, Greg.
Well, we can't catch any concert right now, but hopefully Mark Lindsey will be rolling through Memphis one day.
You said The Roof is on Fire, you would guess is 15 years old, right?
Right. I bet you
it's
like
older
30.
than that.
Yeah.
36 years old.
Oh, my.
1984 release date.
Yeah, I was going to say that was in the 80s.
Where has the time gone, ladies and gentlemen? Where has the time gone? By the way, tomorrow for our topic, songs that include either Mr., Miss, or Mrs. in the title. Mr., Miss, or Mrs. Hey, I want to hear my Sanford Townsend band song.
I want to hear your Adele song, Gabe, because I want to know.
We'll do that. We'll do that coming back. We'll hear the Adele song. We'll hear our Sanford Townsend band song. We'll take it to the timeout
Somebody
with
said
Mr.
Fire in the
Cash.
Disco. Did that cause Panic in the Disco?
Panic in the Disco is the name of a group, not a song.
Do you know the song Fire in the Disco?
I want to say I might. It's ringing a bell. It's ringing a bell. But tomorrow, again, songs with Mr., Mrs., or Miss in the title. Okay? Don't give me like Sir or anything like that. Mr., Miss, or Mrs. We'll have Johnny Cash take it to the break.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from
Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more.
Right here, R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 9 a.m., Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Don't miss it.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Do you have any idea why I never speak the way I am right now? It's because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you do not need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get a customer's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or buy their products? By overcharging you in the first place, that's how. Fiveash Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service possible and do it at a fair price, why would I need gimmicks to sell it? Best products, best warranties, and best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hi, it's the Herd. No matter what happens, you want to make sure your loved ones are taken care of. That's why LegalZoom makes it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving home. Don't know the difference between a last will or living trust? LegalZoom can help. They're not a law firm, but you can get started quickly online and get advice through their network of independent attorneys. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com.
Whether you're working remotely, taking web classes, binge-watching TV, or gaming, Dell is here to help you find the right tech. From XPS and Alienware computers that are redefining what's possible with 10th Gen Intel Core processors to the latest top brand electronics. Our seamless tech solutions will help keep you connected
Plus, get free shipping. Call us today at 1-800-BUY-DEL. That's 800-BUY-DEL.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Gilman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx. This hour is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quincy White Station. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
This is the Sanford Townsend Band, "Smoke from a Distant Fire."
Never heard it in my
life.
life.
Listen, we're getting to the chorus here. Wait. It's like the woman cheated on the guy, and so it's a fantastic song. Anyway. There you go.
I'm fantastic seems to be maybe.
I think it is.
We're using the word fantastic loosely.
I think it's a fantastic song.
Another text here: Firepower from Judas Priest, Firehouse from Kiss, On Fire, Van Halen. They've got a theme here. Into the Fire by Dokken, D-O-K-K-E-N.
Yeah.
And then number one, Ring of Fire, Johnny Cash. I did not think from Judas Priest, Kiss, and Van Halen they would get to Johnny Cash at number one. Got to be honest with that. Fleet Feet, the place to go to get all your running gear. You want to get shoes that are just right for you, fitted to you, and based on the way you run or walk? Well, folks at Fleet Feet will do that for you at either one of their two locations. East Memphis, Laurelwood Shopping Center next to Panera Bread Company. Out in Collierville at Poplar and Houston Levee next door to the Hueys. Online at fleetfeetmemphis.com. Go check them out for all the gear that you need. They are Fleet Feet. Time now for one final thing.
Before Greg and Eli get out of here for the day, they each have one final thing they think you should know to make it through the rest of your day. So here are Greg and Eli with one final thing.
Chad Johnson, former NFL player, the former Chad Ochocinco. Really nice gesture. He left a $1,000 tip for his waiter after dining at a restaurant in Florida that recently reopened amid the coronavirus pandemic. Congrats on reopening. Sorry about the pandemic. Hope this helps. I love you. Johnson wrote Monday on his $37 tab. He tweeted a photo of the receipt from Havana's Cuban Cuisine in Cooper City with the caption, Proverbs 11:25, a Bible verse that states, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. So a $1,000 tip on a $37 tab by Chad Johnson, Chad Johnson.
Very, very nice.
Am I the only one that thinks it's just slightly tacky to post it on Twitter?
I know.
Slightly.
I knew somebody was
very
good
gesture.
Well, but he might encourage others to do it. Then.
Exactly.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because if it maybe somebody else, some other athlete or whatever, kind of tries to match him, and that could end up being a good thing. So
I agree.
In this situation, I'll normally I would say yes, but in this situation, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. All right. So I was mentioned earlier that we were comparing quarterback numbers, and quarterback numbers are obviously the most drastic, especially if you go way back. But it's just funny to look at college football statistics overall between individual players because the game has just changed so much. So I grabbed 3 SEC running backs and their final season of college. So here you go. Running back number 1, had 1,867 total yards and 17 touchdowns. Okay? Running back 2, 1,859 yards and 17 touchdowns. So almost identical seasons. Running back number 3, 2,038 total yards and 19 touchdowns. So number 3, a couple more touchdowns, a couple hundred more total yards for the season. Those 3 running backs for you. Running back number 1 was Clyde Edwards-Helaire this last year at LSU. Running back number 2, who had technically the least yards and same amount of touchdowns, Bo Jackson. Number 3, Travion Williams of Texas A&M. I mean, Bo Jackson's considered one of the greatest college football players of all time. Travion Williams last year at Texas A&M was better than Bo Jackson. Best year at Auburn.
Yeah, the numbers are better.
Yes, I mean, that's looking at stats as it pertains to college football is impossible. Because with up-tempo offenses and so many more games now, they're like these stats are just ridiculous compared to what they used to be.
Before we go, and we're hearing Adele, she's going to take us home. Muscle Shoals Sound Studio in Alabama is where they taped the song Smoke from a Distant Fire, where it was recorded. And it reached number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 9 in Cashbox, and number 13 in Record World. So a very successful song. 2 other things. The bankrupt XFL may have a potential buyer in Vince McMahon, the guy who owned it. And one of DeAndre Baker's lawyers, the guy from the Giants arrested, said the Giants cornerback was playing Madden the night of the alleged armed robbery. Something's really weird about that. I want to thank Keith Smith, Nick Bromberg for joining us on the program today. Tomorrow, Steve Sands from the Golf Channel on NBC. Tim Mulqueen will join us, the Memphis 901 FC coach, and our 5 favorite song subject, Mr., Miss, or Mrs. in the song title. Stay tuned. Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio is coming up next. For Eli, for Gabe, and Adele, I'm Greg Gaston, and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-11.